9 p.m., one alluring night. After drinking a little too much at her bachelorette party, Tangning's fiancé picked her up and brought her home to their apartment. Finally coming to her senses, she forced open her eyes, holding back an excruciating headache. As her vision cleared, she could make out the figure of a man and a woman kissing passionately under the dimly lit room. Like being struck by lightning, Tangning looked at the two in shock as they continued to kiss by her bedside. The anger inside her began to boil. "Euro, stop messing around. Tangning only just fell asleep," the man warned as he restrained the woman by her waist. "What? Are you afraid your fiancé will wake up?" Mo Euro responded in an annoyed tone. "You are getting married tomorrow. Why don't you give yourself to me tonight?" "Babe, you are such a troublemaker. Let's go to the other room," the man smiled seductively. "No. I want to do it here. I want to do it right in front of her." Mo Euro swiftly unbuttoned the man's shirt as their lips once again locked. Tangning tried to hold back her tears but could feel them slowly trickling down her face. Who would have thought the man she was to marry the next day would be cheating right in front of her? "Behave. Let's go to the bathroom. Isn't the bathtub your favorite place?" "Fine then, you go in and fill up the bathtub first." Mo Euro nudged the man's chest towards the bathroom. As soon as the man left the room, she sauntered over to Tangning. Leaning over with a cold smile, she whispered, "Tangning, I'm not going to let you and you fan sign those papers tomorrow. I'm pregnant, here's mine." Tangning tightened her hands into a fist as she held back her emotions, careful not to let out a sound. It was not until she heard the moaning sounds of the couple coming from the bathroom did she feel her world had fallen apart. 3 years ago, Tangning was once Beijing's top model. But, because of this man, she gave up everything, handing over her hard-earned position to Mo Euro. As it turned out, everything she did merely went towards preparing someone else's wedding dress. No. This must be a dream, just a horrible nightmare. Everything will be back to normal tomorrow. Tangning continued to lie to herself. Until halfway through the night, Mo Euro complained of feeling unwell as she led Han Yufan out of the hotel. With that, Han Yufan was to leave and not return. But they were to get married tomorrow. The next day, as planned, Tangning drove to the Civil Affairs office with a bitter smile. As she stepped out of her car, she gave Han Yufan a call. The voice on the other side coldly answered, "Mo Euro was injured on stage. I have to deal with this urgent matter first. Let's postpone the registration to another day." "There is no another day," Tangning disappointedly told herself. Tangning turned around and put on her sunglasses, ready to leave, but at that moment, her eyes were drawn to a tall figure heading her way. She couldn't help notice the fitted dark blue retro suit which complemented the masculine body underneath, and out of the front chest pocket, the corner of a wine-red handkerchief could be seen peering out subtly. Glancing down, Tangning could see a pair of perfectly straight legs leading to a pair of freshly polished brown leather shoes which glistened in the sun. This man had such a strong presence, like that of a medieval king. Especially as he got closer, although he was wearing sunglasses, his perfectly chiseled face and sexy lips were enough to drive any woman crazy. Tangning recognized this man. He was the CEO of Hai Rui Entertainment, Mo Ting. Back when she was still famous, they had met once at a ball. Is he also getting married today? Ring the Kai family and tell them, if they can't even be on time to a wedding, then don't bother coming at all, the man responded coldly. But, the chairman said that you must get married today, no matter what. Even if you were to marry a transvestite, he wouldn't care. The assistant replied timidly. Then, just randomly pick a lady from the socialite families. I'll give you half an hour. The man ordered. He seemed a bit unreasonable. Oh, so he is faced with a similar dilemma, even though it is slightly different. Mo Ting had so much power, he could simply choose any woman he wanted. And as one of the most eligible bachelors, love was not his priority. His priority was to deal with the pressures from his elders to get married. Suddenly, an idea came to Tangning's mind. Taking off her sunglasses, she walked in front of the man and gently suggested, "President Mo, your bride hasn't arrived and my groom has run away. May I suggest we get married? Mo Ting's assistant froze in disbelief. How is this woman so brave? Tang Ning stood straight in confidence. She had gathered all her courage to do this. Mo Ting removed his sunglasses, revealing a pair of dark ink-like eyes. His pupils glimmered like a diamond. After a short moment, he turned to his assistant and ordered, "Give me her details." Of course, Mo Ting's assistant already knew who Tang Ning was. He quickly grabbed his cell phone, did a quick search for Tang Ning's name, and offered the findings to his boss. 2 minutes later, the man's lips twitched ever so slightly as he responded with one word, "Okay." Tang Ning felt that meeting Mo Ting was the luckiest thing that could happen to her. He had no reason to use a woman, nor did he require love, and best of all, he had no shortage of women to sleep with. Ultimately, she wanted Han Yufan to regret his decision. The couple's wedding procedures were processed quickly. In just half an hour, Tang Ning held the marriage certificate in her hands. From now on, she was a married woman. "President Mo, may I have a few words with you?" "Get in the car." Mo Ting put his sunglasses back on as he walked out of the registration hall. Tang Ning followed closely behind. After getting into the Rolls-Royce, she nervously looked at Mo Ting before requesting, "Thank you for marrying me. If you need anything from me in return, please tell me. I will do anything. However, I have 2 simple requests I hope you can promise to abide by." "Speak." Mo Ting responded tiredly as he loosened his collar. "Firstly, unless you have no choice, do not reveal our relationship. Secondly, do not interfere in my personal matters. Do not worry, since we are married, I will not get overly close to another man." After listening to Tang Ning's requests, Mo Ting gave a slight smirk. A dangerous aura swept through the car. "I promise you. But, after I give you some time to tidy up your past, I want us to have a trial marriage. After 6 months, I will publicly announce our marriage." "Thank you." Tang Ning nodded. "Also, I don't believe a married couple should live separately. I'll give you 3 days to pack all your belongings and move to a place of my choice. My assistant will be in touch with you." Tang Ning had no objections. Since they were now married, a request like this was reasonable. So she obediently nodded her head as she replied, "I agree." "Good." After the two made their verbal agreement, Tang Ning got out of Mo Ting's car and left. Mo Ting's assistant sat himself in the driver's seat and looked at Mo Ting through the rearview mirror. "President, shall we return to the office? Or would you like to return to the mansion to tell the chairman the news?" Suddenly asking him to marry her, something must have happened. As the president of an international entertainment agency, of course, he had heard of Tang Ning before. Once a famous model in the industry, 3 years ago she suddenly rejected an offer from the top entertainment agency, Star King, resulting in her being blacklisted. Eventually, she announced she would be signing with Cheney Entertainment and became a hot topic with the boss, Han Yufan. And thus began the fall of a supermodel. But, from the looks of it, Tang Ning's story did not end there. In all honesty, Tang Ning had never realized she was so brave. She had actually married a stranger. But, what was done was done. She would never regret her decision. Tang Ning returned to her car. Just as she was about to start the engine and head home, she received a phone call from Han Yufan. "Tang Ning, where are you right now?" In front of the Civil Affairs office, about to go home, Tang Ning replied casually, hiding her emotions. "Euro has a very important show. I need you to substitute her immediately. I'll tell the makeup artist to provide you with a mask. No one will be able to tell it is you," Han Yufan ordered with the tone of a superior. "Since Euro is injured, you will have to suffer a little." "Didn't you say Miss Mo got hurt on stage? In that case, the media should already know she is at the hospital." "But, I have already asked someone to let it slip that she will still be attending even with her injuries. I told you to go, so go." He was so shameless. In the past, Tang Ning had already done stupid things like this for Mo Euro. As it seems, she was being used. However, she wasn't going to continue this way. Tang Ning stayed calm and nodded. "Okay, let me know the time and address. I'll head over there now." Tangning, we are about to get married. Help give Euro a bit of a boost. Her career is currently on the rise. I'll give her a boost for sure. Tangning responded with a hidden meaning. I'll hang up then. Let's have dinner later. Han Yufan had no idea the tables had turned. Presumably now, he would be sitting by Mo Euro's bedside, watching over his lover tenderly. Tangning hung up the phone before giving her manager a call. Her manager immediately responded in anger. President Han wants you to step in for that B-grade model? Is he joking? If you didn't decide to retreat from the spotlight, she would not even survive in the industry. Long Ji, I've already agreed. Tangning replied calmly. Do you really have to go? Her manager was about to spew blood in disbelief. Tangning and Mo Euro were both models signed under Chani Entertainment, but because of Tangning's decision to retreat, her manager was dragged down with her and ridiculed. Tangning knew her manager wanted to stick up for her injustice. Reassuringly, she responded, I won't be that stupid anymore. I will not let them use me. After hearing those words from Tangning, her manager's face lit up. So, are you saying you have a plan? Long Ji, from now on I can only trust in you. Can you help me do something? Mo Euro is so desperate to convince the media that she is attending the show even with her injuries because she doesn't want it to impact her eligibility for the top 10 model awards. Help me pay a visit to Chanhe Hospital. I see what you're getting at. Obtain evidence that she was still at the hospital during the show and reveal it to the public. The manager smiled excitedly. No, I have bigger news. She's pregnant. And the child is Han Yufan's. Also, help me prepare a statement stating that Han Yufan has used me multiple times to substitute Mo Euro during her shows. As for which shows, I will need you to help me find evidence for that. The manager was surprised at first, but quickly understood why Tangning's attitude had changed. Such a shameless cheating couple. Not only did they cheat, but they also used Tangning, ordering her around like a puppet. Don't worry, Tangning, I will help you do all these things. Tangning did not respond. She felt unusually calm. She was going to treat them like they had treated her. After clearing her thoughts, Tangning quickly gathered her belongings and drove herself over to the venue for the show to meet up with Mo Euro's assistant. He was a married man with a strong bulky physique and a cunning personality. He was reasonably polite to Tangning. Even though she was no longer famous, the Tang family was still not one to be looked down upon. What took you so long? Quick, come and get your makeup done. What type of show is it today? Tangning asked as she was hurried down the hallway. Nothing special, the assistant replied. In fact, it was actually a jewelry show for the famous French brand, HF. After this show, Mo Euro would have the opportunity to sign on as HF spokesperson. Originally, Mo Euro would have lost her opportunity due to her injuries, but with Han Yufan's suggestion of using Tangning, Mo Euro certainly had no objections. Actually, on her way to the show, Tangning had already done her research on today's show, the Crown Star Jewelry Show. Mo Euro's assistant had intentionally lied to her. Had she always been this easy to trick? Thanks to Euro's current status, you have your own makeup room. You will appear in the grand finale, and this is the piece of jewelry you will be presenting today. Here is the schedule. The assistant explained as he pointed to the jewelry on the stage. He then ordered the makeup artist to start applying Tangning's makeup. Did Han Yufan really think that by giving her a mask, people would not be able to tell it's her? Although what she had in mind was quite extreme, she was going to give the cheating couple a surprise of a lifetime. Yes, President. This wasn't a particularly special show, but he wanted to see Tangning in action. 11 a.m., classical music resounded off the walls of the Haiyi Center. The show had begun. Inside the makeup room, Tangning's makeup was complete and she was now standing in front of the mirror in anticipation. Wearing a white tight-fitting long dress, simple but classy, adorning a beautiful golden mask giving off a mysterious aura, hair tied back away from her face with a single white rose, she was absolutely stunning. The assistant was speechless. Inside he was thinking, even if Tangning was to stand still, she would surely attract the attention of everyone around her. Mo Euro will get the contract for certain. You will descend onto the stage via a chair that will be lowered from above. This bracelet here is the crown star. Let me put it on for you. The assistant unclasped the bracelet and carefully put it on Tangning. However, Tangning was slimmer than Mo Euro, resulting in the bracelet being too big. With a lift of her arm, the bracelet would slide around. This bracelet was designed by the founder of HF for his beloved daughter. In the middle of the golden bracelet was a crown encrusted with white diamond. On the two sides of the crown were two stars made from a pure and immaculate white gemstone, just like two parents protecting their precious child. There's no way for you to wear it. What should I do? Do you trust me? Tangning suddenly asked Mo Euro's assistant. At this moment, I can only trust you, the assistant nodded. Without a solution, he could only trust the model. This was Euro's opportunity at being a spokesperson. If he messed it up, President Han would definitely fire him. In that case, leave it with me. Tangning reassured. Hurry, get ready. You will be going on stage soon. Amongst all the commotion, the assistant did not take notice of the look in Tangning's eyes. Tangning smiled as she gave a nod before lifting up her dress slightly and running towards the back of the stage. With her mask on, if you were to point out one distinguishing feature between Tangning and Mo Euro, it would have to be Tangning's legs. Tangning's legs were once known as one of the most beautiful legs in the world. Just as everyone thought the show had reached its climax, Tangning descended gracefully to the stage on a chair. All the spotlights immediately focused on her. But the crown star was nowhere to be seen. What had happened? Everyone present ran around frantically looking for the crown star. They even searched Tangning all over. Because of this, many people couldn't help but notice her lovely pale long legs. Legs so beautiful, they were unforgettable. Just as everyone was about to give up, a smile appeared from behind the mysterious golden mask. Tangning elegantly raised her arm, tilted her head backwards and lifted her left leg, which was facing the audience, striking a beautiful dance pose. At that moment, out from under the white dress and down her smooth legs, the crown star appeared around Tangning's ankle, sparkling magnificently. Wow! Everyone froze in amazement at the scene in front of them. The sight of Tangning lying on the chair, seamlessly moving from one pose to the next, was unforgettable. Most impressive of all, every single pose Tangning pulled, the crown star would be presented in a different light, showing off its beauty over and over again. The audience rose to their feet and gave Tangning a standing ovation. Amongst the crowd, in a high but hidden position, Mo Ting's gaze was focused on Tangning. His new wife, once Beijing's top model, was here standing in on behalf of a B-grade model. There was no denying it. No matter if it was 3 years ago or 3 years later, she was still the same model, born for the runway. After Tangning's final pose, the show came to a satisfying end. HF's founder was extremely impressed with her performance. Of course, he wasn't aware the model on stage was Tangning. He still believed it was Mo Euro. He appeared from behind the stage and approached Tangning. Like a gentleman, he offered his hand, helping Tangning off her chair and led her to the front of the runway as they bowed thankfully to the audience. Thank you everyone, and of course, thank you Miss Mo for a spectacular performance. It was certainly impressive. Tangning stayed silent. She just simply responded with a bow. When suddenly, from the front of the runway came a high-pitched voice. She isn't Mo Euro. I've seen Mo Euro in real life and she does not have such long legs. At that moment, everyone was stunned as they looked up and down Tangning's legs with doubt. If you are indeed Mo Euro, then remove your mask. If you are not, then Channy Entertainment are a bunch of liars. Sounds of doubt multiplied and grew louder. Even the designers of HF were beginning to question whether the woman in front of them was Mo Euro. Miss Mo, please remove your mask. The designers were curious. Was she really Mo Euro? If she really wasn't, then their collaboration with Channy Entertainment would have to come to an end. Tangning hesitated, but she was already surrounded. With no other choice, she slowly removed her mask. At that moment, everyone held their breath. At the sight of her face, some recognized her immediately as the once famed model. It's Tangning. It was rumored that after Tangning was blacklisted, her status had completely deteriorated. She was even worse off than unsigned models. Who would have thought she would stoop so low as to step in for someone else? Was she deliberately creating hype, or was she forced due to her current situation? Miss Tang, could you please explain the current situation? Mo Euro was the one that was invited to appear in today's show, but how come it turned out to be you? From what we know, you were blacklisted 3 years ago. Are you trying to take this opportunity to announce a comeback? As a once famous model, are you trying to take Mo Euro's jobs? Are you taking advantage of her being injured and stealing her opportunity to be a spokesperson? Outdated, cheap model. Euro should be the spokesperson. Give it back to her. As for you, I'll see you in court. But, for now, get lost. You do not deserve to be standing on my runway, he yelled. Why are you still here? Get lost. Tangning already prepared herself for this moment, but still struggled to hold back the humiliation. It was at that moment, a deep, attractive voice resounded from the end of the stage. Yes, someone should get lost indeed. Most importantly, why is he standing on the stage? It was a well-known fact that Mo Ting despised artists that played mind games. Tangning is digging her own grave. This time, even Hai Rui can't help but step out from behind the sidelines. Everyone held their breath, certain that Tangning was out of luck. But to their surprise, Mo Ting walked over to Tangning and stood by her side. With the intimidating tone of a king, he turned to the designer and continued, "But, she is not the one that should get lost. It is you. I could make HF disappear from Beijing if I want to. Your manners appear to be on a different level to your jewelry." Tangning's heartbeat stopped for a moment. Who would have thought her new husband, who she had only met for the third time, would stand up for her? HF's designer was not impressed, but he knew he could not offend Hai Rui International. After a few moments of silence, he reluctantly apologized. "Sorry, President Mo. I didn't know of your relationship with." The media were in a frenzy. What does Mo Ting mean by this? Does he have the intention to sign Tangning? Is this some kind of joke? Like this, Channy Entertainment's troubles began, and Mo Euro's assistant had unintentionally been the one that started it. If you can't even handle such a small matter, what else can you do? Let's wait and see how President Han will punish you. Tangning was unfazed. Her expression was one of unexpected calmness. She changed her clothes and casually left the scene. Just as she stepped out of the side door, she spotted Mo Ting's sports car parked outside. "Get in." Tangning obediently boarded the car. She was exceptionally grateful for what Mo Ting had done. "Thank you for today." Mo Ting's eyes slightly twitched as he let out a smirk. "Did you think I would allow someone to bully my newly wedded wife in front of everyone? Actually, I'm not worthy of your help. I intentionally allowed everyone to figure out who I really was," Tangning explained apologetically. Mo Ting looked straight into the eyes of the person sitting across from him. "I know. It's just that, if you couldn't have thought of a better way to scheme against someone, you should have asked me. Sacrificing yourself to get back at someone is a bit of a stupid move, don't you think?" Tangning. "Where should I drop you off?" "You're home. Aren't we a married couple now?" Tangning replied undoubtedly. Since she had already made the decision, she was not going to take it back, nor regret. "Are you sure? Not only are we married, but tonight is also our wedding night." Tangning blushed, but nodded in certainty. "I've already prepared myself, and I am very thankful that you did not reveal our relationship. However, from now on, I insist you remain neutral. I want to rely on myself to retrieve what is rightfully mine." Mo Ting did not insist. After all, it was rare to see a woman that did not use him as a stepping stone to benefit themselves. He decided to sit back and watch Tangning show off her skills. The couple set off. Not long after, Tangning received a phone call from her manager, Long Ji. "Tangning, I have already found evidence of Mo Euro's pregnancy. What do you want me to do with it? Also, the scene you caused at the jewelry show today has gone viral. People are condemning you all over the internet. What do you plan to do? Long G, are you willing to stay by my side? Why are you asking such nonsense? Long G mumbled, did you expect me to continue following that cheating couple? Then release the statement I asked you to prepare earlier. But be warned, by doing this, you will be going up against Tianyi Entertainment. I'm not afraid. Long G exclaimed excitedly. We should have done this sooner. I will go prepare the evidence now and release it before Han Yufan has the chance to respond. Tang Ning hung up and the car returned to its original peacefulness. Deep down, Tang Ning was actually quite nervous. What did Mo Ting think of her? No need to explain. Your conversation just now, I heard it all. However, I have one question. Have you always been this honest? The car had stopped at a red light and Mo Ting took this opportunity to grab hold of Tang Ning's jaw, examining her with his eagle-like gaze. I am only honest in front of you and I intend for it to stay this way. Tang Ning revealed her loyalty, because I am afraid you may misunderstand and think badly of me. Mo Ting was surprised for a moment, before he continued speaking. If I were you, I would be even more extreme. Mo Ting must have guessed by now what was going on between Tang Ning, Mo Euro, and Han Yufan. Because of his reaction, Tang Ning developed an appreciation for her new husband. She vowed to herself, no matter what was to happen, she was going to remember this day and the promises she made to Mo Ting forever. Meanwhile, Han Yufan was in disbelief as he received news of Tang Ning's exposure on stage. Not only that, at that moment, he also received a phone call from HF, notifying him of their intention to take Tianyi Entertainment to court for breaching their contract. In an instant, Tianyi Entertainment had gotten themselves into a heap of trouble while rumors were spreading all over the internet like wildfire. Mo Euro was focused on the recording of Tang Ning's performance on stage as she pulled Han Yufan towards her. Look, Tang Ning wanted to be recognized. She knew the biggest difference between her and I are our legs. She did it on purpose. Euro, Tang Ning isn't like that. It's not like it's the first time she's substituted for you. Deep down Han Yufan still trusted Tang Ning. So what you're saying is that you trust Tang Ning more. Don't be stupid, Yufan. Now this incident has happened. Someone has to take the blame. Do you really want to lose this contract? Do you want to tell everyone that you were the one that asked Tang Ning to substitute me? If that's the case, then we are doomed. What are you suggesting? Since you and Tang Ning are getting married soon, she will no longer be a part of the industry. For the sake of Tianyi Entertainment, you need to make an announcement. You need to tell everyone that you were unaware of this entire incident and everything was just Tang Ning's attempt at creating hype. That's why she went behind our backs and pretended to be me. Mo Euro was completely throwing the blame onto Tang Ning. I guess, under these circumstances, that is all we can do. Han Yufan nodded in agreement. However, just as he was trying to contact the head of PR, he received a call from his assistant. Quick, President Han, check the entertainment news headlines. Tang Ning's manager has just revealed some big news. Han Yufan quickly jumped online to search the headlines. To his disbelief, Tang Ning's manager was already a step ahead of them. She revealed that Han Yufan had forced Tang Ning to substitute Mo Euro multiple times in the past with comparison pictures of the two models as proof. She also complained that small companies tend to bully people and revealed that Tang Ning had been bullied for many years. In anger, Han Yufan quickly contacted Tang Ning's manager. Long G, are you crazy? On the other side of the phone, Long G's laughter resounded. Calmly she responded, I've wanted to leave this lousy company of yours for a long time. Yufan, this is definitely Tang Ning's doing. Quick, let's cover it up by posting news of her creating hype. Without hesitation, Han Yufan immediately contacted his connections in the media and got Long G's news taken down. He quickly replaced it with the news he had prepared earlier of Tang Ning's attempts at creating hype. In an instant, Tang Ning and Tianyi Entertainment became the most searched terms online with mixed responses. No one was aware of the relationship between Tang Ning and Mo Ting. So, compared to Tang Ning, no one was brave enough to offend Han Yufan. Tang definitely received the shorter end of the stick, attracting an unbelievable amount of insults online. Just as everyone thought the tables had turned, the term Tang substitute suddenly jumped to the top of search rankings. Search results all led to the news Long Ji had released earlier, revealing that Tang was the real victim. Of course, Long Ji's story had got out first and the netizens had already made their decision. On top of everything, the fact that Tang had substituted Mo Euro so many times without causing any trouble and was continually being used became the hot topic online. The online community all agreed Tang was indeed the victim. In disbelief, Han Yufan picked up his phone and contacted his PR, ordering them to use more money to take down Tang's news. Meanwhile, Mo Ting was on the phone with the main news sources. If the news of Tang disappears from search rankings, then be prepared for your companies to close down. The media couldn't defend Hai Rui, even though they didn't understand why Hai Rui was helping Tang. Even Long Ji didn't understand why their plan had run so smoothly. She had originally expected it to take a few days. Tang, tell me, are you being supported by another company? No, Tang replied as she glanced at the man beside her. However, there is indeed a person that has been assisting me behind the scenes. But I can't reveal who it is yet. Ha ha ha, that's okay. We will talk about it later. Just the thought of Han Yufan's distraught face is enough to satisfy me. Long Ji assumed Tang had help from her family. She had no idea that Tang had, in fact, suddenly become the wife of the king of entertainment, Mo Ting. Are you trying to use this opportunity to leave Channy? Mo Ting asked as he elegantly sliced the steak in front of him. No, I would be letting them off too easy if I was to leave so simply. I am going to tear them down from their perch, Tang explained. Plus, I have already decided to return to the modeling industry. Unfortunately, my popularity isn't as great as before, which is why Channy may come of use. You are like this right now because you are angry. What if one day you no longer hate? What I have decided on, I will not regret, let alone turn back, Tang told Mo Ting in certainty. When in love, she could love with all her heart. When in hate, she could tear the other person apart with her bare hands. On top of everything, quite a decent amount of time had passed since news of Tang's exposure on stage had gotten out. Yet, Han Yufan hadn't even made a single phone call to check on her. Instead, he had released news that could easily ruin Tang. There was no way she was going to let Han Yufan hurt her again. Mo Ting remained silent, but he was already intrigued by Tang. Tang wasn't stupid. In fact, she was very smart. She knew she couldn't hide anything from Mo Ting, so she quickly revealed everything in front of him. Whether good or bad, there was no holding back. All that existed was trust. I've asked my assistant to prepare a room in this hotel. Tonight, we will be staying here. My home is no fun. Tang's ears flushed red as she nodded. Up to you. Meanwhile, Han Yufan was all over the place, trying to come to a truce with the media and his business partners. Coupled with the news of Mo Euro's pregnancy, the thought of Tang didn't even cross his mind, nor did he care where she was right now. After a romantic dinner, Tang followed closely behind Mo Ting as he led her to the presidential suite. Surprisingly, it wasn't just any normal presidential suite. It was actually a wedding suite. Under such rushed conditions, Mo Ting somehow managed to prepare so much for her. She couldn't help but feel touched by his consideration. If it was someone else, there was no way they would have done the same. Mo Ting could sense the nervousness coming from Tang. He removed his suit jacket as he turned to her and said, I'll have a shower first so you can have some time to make a decision. If you are still unsure, we can delay our wedding night indefinitely. Tang was thankful for his thoughtfulness as she watched him head into the bathroom. But they were already married. What right did she have to make Mo Ting accommodate for her childish indecisiveness? Thinking this, Tang threw open the door and headed into the bathroom. Mo Ting looked at her in surprise as she reached out and embraced him in a tight hug. I do not regret. Are you sure? Once I've made you mine, you will no longer have the chance to change your mind. Mo Ting restrained himself. His deep sexy voice was enough to strike a chord in anyone's heart, putting them into a daze. I am certain. Hearing her response, Mo Ting let himself go. With one hand, he grabbed Tang Ning by the waist and pressed his lips against hers. With his other hand, he undid her dress, which was now soaking wet. Tang Ning's mind was buzzing. She had never experienced a kiss like this before, one so magical she was losing control. Standing under the shower, Tang Ning looked up at Mo Ting. Completely mesmerized, she examined his handsome looks. She noticed the diamond-like mole on his earlobe and his eyes that were looking at her passionately, wanting to swallow her whole. However, even when the time came to take things further, he did not rush. Instead, he wrapped her in a towel and carried her in his arms out to the rose-petal-covered bed. Afterwards, his tall body came down on her. He was already wearing protection. However, just as he was about to enter her, he felt an obstruction. Tang Ning cried out in pain. Mo Ting pulled back quickly as he wrapped her in the blanket. He originally thought, since Tang Ning was in the entertainment industry and she had already been in a relationship with Han Yufan, this couldn't have possibly been her first time. But, the feeling just now, he was sure, she had never engaged in this type of activity before. What's wrong? Tang Ning noticed Mo Ting had stopped and couldn't help but lift her head up to question him. Her face was blushing attractively. Let's do it next time. Mo Ting was surprised. At the same time, he felt bad for having misunderstood Tang Ning. Are you not satisfied with me? If I had continued going, you would have been hurt. Mo Ting put on his robe and returned to the bed, trying to control his desires. He didn't want Tang Ning's first time to be a bad experience. Why didn't you tell me you had no experience? How was I to bring up something like this? Tang Ning responded as she huddled up against Mo Ting's shoulder. I knew you would have found out yourself. Anyway, what was that just now? Did we do it? Regardless of whether we did it or not, you are now Mrs. Mo. You can't escape. After he spoke, Mo Ting stood up, lifted Tang Ning up and headed for the bathroom. Let me see if you are hurt. Looking at the worried expression on his face, Tang Ning couldn't help but let out a laugh. You are nothing like how the outside world portrays you. How did you think I would be like? Mo Ting placed Tang Ning gently into the bathtub and turned on the water. A ruler with complete control over the life and death of his entertainers. A person with no human sense. To other people, I am indeed like that. Mo Ting expressed sincerely. But you are different. Since you are my wife and are so trusting of me, I will show you my true self. However, Tang Ning, I must warn you. To me, a lie is a lie. If you betray my trust, I will never forgive you. Tang Ning sat up comfortably, her nose almost touching Mo Ting's. What a coincidence, I am the same. That night, their physical relationship had technically only reached halfway. But, their hearts had been drawn closer together. The next morning, Tang Ning awoke to the blinding light of the sun shining through the window. To her surprise, the spot beside her was already empty. Tang Ning thought Mo Ting had already left, but he was actually waiting for her patiently in the living room whilst flipping through some documents. I've prepared some new clothes in the bathroom for you. We will leave after you freshen up. Tang Ning nodded obediently as she turned towards the bathroom. At that moment, her phone suddenly rang. It was Han Yufan. Tang Ning looked at Mo Ting awkwardly as he charmingly lifted one eyebrow and asked, Do you want me to pick it up? Of course not. The timing isn't right. Mo Ting knew what she was thinking, so he grabbed the phone and handed it to her. Tang Ning did not step aside to take the phone call. Instead, she confidently pressed the answer button, right in front of Mo Ting. Tang Ning, where are you right now? So, you're saying you aren't aware of the incident with Long Ji? Han Yufan asked in a patient tone. What's wrong with Long Ji? The place I have hidden in is quite remote, so I haven't been able to keep up with what's happening on the outside. What happened? Tang Ning tried her best to sound curious. Thanks to your manager, Qiani is now in a mess. Return to the office first. I'm going to arrange for you to hold a press conference. Tang Ning, I am depending on you to clear Channy's name. Press conference? More like another opportunity for him to throw the blame on Tangning. Did he really think she was still that naive? Tangning hung up the phone in disgust, when suddenly Mo Ting began to speak. I've already saved my number in your phone. Anytime you need me, give me a call and let me know what you want to do. Thank you, Mo Ting. You shouldn't be calling me that. Mo Ting unfolded his legs and pulled Tangning to his side. Call me something else, or I won't let you go. Tangning blushed as she whispered shyly, hubby. A rare smile appeared on Mo Ting's face. Come on, I'll drop you off at work. Remember what you promised. Don't get too close to another man. Tangning knew exactly what Mo Ting was referring to. She responded with a reassuring smile and a hopeful look in her eyes for Mo Ting to trust her. Mo Ting's heart skipped a beat. Between the two of them, there was nothing more to say. In just 40 minutes, Mo Ting had successfully driven Tangning to a location close to Channy Entertainment. As the king of entertainment, he knew all the deepest, darkest secrets of the industry. Hence, he was curious as to how Tangning intended on turning the tables to retrieve her position as top model. Tangning knew what she was getting herself into. It was clear that this was a game where she had to keep her cards hidden, whilst her enemies had already laid their cards on the table. If she couldn't change the outcome even after swapping out her entire hand, then she would have to admit defeat. After stepping out of Mo Ting's car, she accessed the building through a secret walkway. As soon as the staff spotted Tangning, the room was filled with mixed reactions of disgust, hate and mockery, as if they were sure Long Ji's revelations were all under Tangning's directions. Tangning pretended not to notice. She walked over to Han Yufan's room and pushed open the door as her gaze met the back of Han Yufan's head. You're back. Han Yufan turned around holding back his anger. Tell me, what happened? Yufan, we are about to get married. Why would I do something like this? Wouldn't that be pushing you away? Tangning choked on her words as she looked at him innocently. Then, how do you explain why you placed the crown star on your ankle at the show? You knew very well that the biggest difference between you and Euro are your legs. Tangning looked at Han Yufan as he interrogated her. She thought back on the multiple times that Han Yufan had protected Mo Euro in the same way. She once thought it was all because he was trying to protect his own growing career, so she was willing to endure being wronged and allowed him to stick up for another person. But from the looks of it now, the only person he wanted to protect all along had solely been Mo Euro. At the time, I had no way of wearing the crown star on anywhere but my ankles. Mo Euro's assistant was also present. You can ask him. I asked him already and he said you had made the decision yourself.
Han Yufan Brasaon.
Yufan, I am your fiancé, yet you choose to believe an outsider. Tangning faked a look of disappointment as she continued to observe Han Yufan's reactions. Yesterday, we were supposed to be signing our wedding papers. It's too late to say anything now. The damage is done. HF has already notified the court of their intention to sue Channy for breaching the contract, and thanks to your manager, the public's negative reactions towards Channy are now getting worse and worse. You need to take responsibility for this. Han Yufan looked down at Tangning condescendingly. He gave off the aura of an almighty god passing judgment. Admitting that my manager was responsible is just like admitting I was responsible. Weren't you the one that called me to hastily substitute Mo Euro? Tangning cried. Yufan, is it because I am to marry you that I should be sacrificed? I don't care. Being recognized was your fault. As soon as those words left his lips, Han Yufan must have felt he had gone too far. He quickly calmed down and reached out his arms to give Tangning a hug. However, she retaliated by pushing him away. Tangning, I was just getting a bit impatient. Just this once. After we are married, I promise to treat you well. Of course, Tangning held back her tears and nodded. I am doing this, not because I admit to creating this mess, it is because I want to protect your career. But, there will be no next time. Yes, I promise, there will be no next time. In actual fact, Han Yufan knew Tangning would fall for it again next time. especially after they were married. According to Tang Ning's character, she would be easily controlled by him. The press conference will be this afternoon at 3 p.m. We will have a meeting in a minute to go over your script.
Ok.
Tang Ning stopped crying and forced herself to look into Han Yufan's eyes like always. But, as soon as she left the room, her eyes swept over with a cold gaze. She couldn't immediately forget the jerk, but she was going to stick by her decisions. There was no way she was going to take on the blame for Han Yufan's wrongdoings again. After thinking carefully, she returned to her own room and phoned her manager. Long Ji, Han Yufan is trying to use me as a shield.
Ah.
Tang Ning, tell me what you want me to do. Her manager was full of fighting spirit.
Ah, Sura.
I've even thought up of a great headline exposed. Channy's boss has multiple affairs, the biggest cheating scum. Tang Ning couldn't help but respond with a laugh, before she began to apologize. Sorry, Long Ji, for dragging you into all this. Tang Ning, as long as you have made the decision to start afresh, I will help you return to being the top model. In fact, not only that, I will help you become an international supermodel. International supermodel? She had never thought that far. She simply wanted to focus on the present. To make Han Yufan and Mo Yuro face their consequences. 12 p.m. Just before the meeting at Channy. Han Yufan, who hadn't had lunch with Tang Ning for a long time, suddenly decided to take her out to the fancy restaurant downstairs. He even booked a table and organized a candle at lunch. Looking at the roses paired with the candles, Tang Ning had no reaction. She sat down as Han Yufan pulled out her chair. I have ordered your favorite sirloin steak. Tang Ning was surprised for a moment. She was speechless. It turned out, even after 5 years of being together, Han Yufan still did not know what she liked. What is it? You don't like it. Just as Tang Ning was about to respond, the chef appeared beside them holding a tray. He turned to Tang Ning. Miss Tang, today, we have your favorite fillet steak. I would like to represent the Frederick's restaurant in congratulating you on your wedding. Upon hearing this, Han Yufan's expression changed, but he was too embarrassed to say anything. He just quietly replaced Tang Ning's plate. Your tastes have changed. Thank you, but we aren't married yet, Tang Ning explained to the chef whilst ignoring Han Yufan. You sure are attentive. I only mentioned it once and you remembered. The chef politely left and Tang Ning turned back towards Han Yufan. Next time I will definitely remember what my wife likes to eat. Han Yufan reminded himself. Hurry, let's eat. We still need to go back and discuss the script. Tang Ning sneered on the inside but kept her composure. At this moment, she received an SMS titled 0819. When she opened it up, she realized it was a message from Mo Ting. 0819 was yesterday, the date of their wedding. The steak is from me. What the chef meant was, congratulations on our wedding. Tang Ning let out a laugh and sent a response from under the table. How did you know where I would be? I have a way of finding out what I want to know, Mo Ting answered her calmly. Tang Ning held onto her phone as she glanced around the restaurant. However, Mo Ting was nowhere in sight. Although she didn't know how he managed to organize something so thoughtful, she could sense he was nearby. He had a presence like a king that no one could ignore or deny. Tang Ning, what are you looking at? Han Yufan asked as he waved his hands in front of her eyes. His gaze was full of questions. Oh, it's nothing. Tang Ning shook her head and calmly changed the topic. Yufan, when will we go back to register our marriage? After all this is settled. You do realize the upcoming Top 10 Model Awards would be Mo Yuro's opportunity to advance in her career. Tang Ning, she is lucky to have you. Otherwise, Yuro would have been ruined this time. Han Yufan poured Tang Ning some red wine and raised his glass against hers. I will help you get back what you deserve. Tang Ning smiled softly. Her dimples made her appear even more beautiful. However, Han Yufan, at present, didn't notice her at all. His heart was already bewitched by years of bedside seduction from Mo Yuro. So, he had no idea Tang Ning's words had a hidden meaning. Tang Ning, you have suffered. Tang-ning knew, for all that she was about to do, today's lunch was just a little reward. However, this reward was all a ploy to mask his true intentions. Also, after the press conference, get in contact with your manager. In order to deal with her, it looks like we have to use a legal approach.
Tang-ning smiled sweetly.
However, there was no way she was going to let him touch Long Ji. Everyone had questions for Tang-ning, ranging from why she suddenly retreated from the public eye to why she signed on with Channy to what really happened with her substituting Mo Euro. Ever since she retreated, she had kept a low profile. It was hard to find anything bad about her. Today was the perfect opportunity for them. Tang-ning, your name is #1 in search rankings and it continues to stay up there. Did you pay for that position? Tang-ning, you and Mo Euro are both models of Channy, but, in recent years, only she has been in the limelight. Have you been frozen by the company, so you were envious of her fame? First of all, I want to apologize to everyone for giving the company a damaged reputation and causing everyone to question Miss Mo Euro's integrity. At the HF Crown Star Show, I made the decision myself, unknown to my company and Mo Euro, to appear on stage. Everything that has happened has nothing to do with my company, Channy, nor Miss Mo Euro. After Tang-ning spoke, the hall was in an uproar. Tang-ning thought with that, everything was over. But, unexpectedly, Han Yufan had prepared something else. In order to confirm that she was an attention seeker, he allowed the artist's director to approach Tang-ning and face the media. This was not the first time she has done something like this. But, the company and I will give her one last chance. Tang-ning, I hope you can learn from your mistakes and not step over the line again. Han Yufan, you are ruthless. Tang-ning remained silent as she gave an apologetic bow to the media. Then, with the protection of the company staff, she was escorted out of the main hall. In an instant, the netizens were filled with hate. Since Tang-ning had admitted everything outright, the public only saw what was on the surface and were filled with anger. Even the staff at Hai Rui treated the matter like a laughingstock. Coming out of a meeting, Mo Ting overheard his staff's discussions. He turned to look at his assistant who quickly revealed what had happened at the press conference today. President, did you want to do something to assist Miss Tang? Not just yet. I want to see how she will deal with it herself, Mo Ting replied gently. He had already mentioned before that he was curious how Tang-ning would react. Because he had helped her the last 2 times, he wanted to see how she would resolve this issue herself. Regardless of everything else, the fact that Tang-ning stepped out and admitted to creating the mess wiped Channy's reputation completely clean. Discussions with HF were successful as they accepted Han Yufan's apology and the position of spokesperson was handed over to Mo Euro, as originally intended, since she was also a victim. After this incident, her popularity was expected to skyrocket. Channy Entertainment and Mo Euro recovered from the incident completely unscathed, but Tang-ning was completely destroyed. In an instant, Queen of Hype, Scheming Model, Green Tea BXXXX Tang-ning, and other similar terms started appearing on search rankings and all the search results led to discussions filled with offensive language. Tang-ning sat in her room watching the news. She tried her best to remain calm because she knew all that she was enduring now would soon be turned on its head. Han Yufan and Mo Euro was going to suffer 10 times more than what she was experiencing now. However, at present, in the eyes of the public, her image had completely crumbled. Even the cleaner couldn't help giving her attitude. Miss Tang, could you please move your precious legs? Can't you see I'm trying to clean here? It's not like you have a show to attend, yet you still come in every day. My back hurts from having to clean up after you. Tang-ning's expression turned cold. Even though she had fallen to a low point in her career, it didn't mean she was going to allow just anyone to bully her. She picked up her phone and rang Han Yufan, making sure to put the call on loudspeaker so the cleaner could hear their conversation. Yufan, is my position in this company so low that I deserve to be spoken down to, even by the cleaner? Get her name and tell HR to dismiss her, Han Yufan replied without hesitation. Tang-ning hung up the phone and looked up at the cleaner with a cold gaze. Just because I'm easygoing, doesn't mean you can talk to me casually. Just because I'm not a model doesn't mean I'm no longer a member of the Tang family. If I wanted to, I could make a simple cleaner like you unemployed forever, without lifting a finger." The cleaner's face turned pale as she broke out in a cold sweat. She never knew Tangning could be so intimidating. She quickly bowed apologetically. "Sorry, Miss Tang, I won't ever do it again. Even if you are above others, you should treat others equally. Not to mention the fact that you are below others." Tangning didn't want to make things difficult for the staff, but she had to teach them a lesson. After speaking, she stood up. She received an SMS from Han Yufan to go to his office. Tangning examined Han Yufan's face and questioned why she had never noticed how disgraceful he looked. Mo Euro was obviously using this opportunity to humiliate her. Yet, Han Yufan had actually suggested Tangning go take care of her. "You just need to put on a show in front the cameras for a few minutes as the footage gets broadcasted live." Han Yufan originally thought Tangning would refuse. Mo Euro had used her child as leverage against Han Yufan in order to make him ask Tangning for such an unreasonable request. But she unexpectedly nodded in agreement. "Okowo, you're willing to do it." "Ever since Mo Euro got hurt, I haven't had the chance to visit her. This is the perfect chance," Tangning replied in a poised manner. Tangning remained calm and collected even though she was aware Mo Euro's plan was to torment her. She knew, the more high and mighty Mo Euro felt now, the harder she would fall. The person to laugh at the end was still to be determined. Not long after, Tangning boarded the car of Han Yufan's assistant and headed towards Qianhe Hospital. On the way, she messaged Mo Ting, "Hubby, do not be worried by any news you see about me. I have a plan. Also, I want to return home tonight. Can you send someone to pick me up from Qianhe Hospital? I don't know where our new home is." In the middle of a meeting, Mo Ting received Tangning's message. For the first time ever, he paused what he was doing, causing all the company's higher-ups to look at each other in surprise. What kind of godlike person has such influence? Mo Ting ignored the reactions of those around him. All he could focus on was Tangning's pitiful tone. He quickly replied to her message, "Good girl, I will pick you up later." After receiving Mo Ting's message, Tangning couldn't help but imagine Mo Ting's expression as he called her a good girl. A sweet smile appeared on her face and her eyes curved like two crescent moons. At this moment, Han Yufan's assistant looked at Tangning from his rearview mirror. "You can still smile now, but wait till you find out what's coming to you." Tangning knew the whole world was currently hostile towards her, but she forced herself to not care about what others thought. After contacting Mo Ting, she sent a message to her manager. "Long Ji, Han Yufan has arranged for me to go take care of Mo Euro at the hospital. I am almost there. Are you ready?" Anyone perceptive enough would be able to tell that Mistress is using this as an opportunity to humiliate you. Does she think she will be able to do that? I have been ready a long time ago. I'm sure the public will be entertained. I have pictures and a video. You can release the pictures. Keep the video for later. I want to give Han Yufan and Mo Euro some time to argue. I understand. We should wait for the right time. When they are at their worst, I will release the video and seal the deal. Long Ji was abnormally excited. I want Mo Euro to fall when she is at her highest point. Tangning, even though there are so many people insulting you, I notice there are still the small minority that are sticking up for you. I guess there is some good that has come from all this. Long Ji, please be careful. After her messages with her manager, Tangning immediately deleted her entire conversation as the corner of her lips curved slightly upwards. Inside one of the private hospital rooms, Mo Euro was sitting weakly in bed. Just the thought of being able to humiliate Tangning in a moment made her eyes twinkle. Never in her wildest dreams had she thought Tangning would be so stupid as to take on all the blame. Not only did she increase Mo Euro's worth, she also helped her secure the spokesperson deal with HF. Euro, Tangning is almost here. When she arrives, the cameras will turn on and you will be broadcasted live for 3 minutes. In a moment, I am going to ask the doctor to come in to change your bandages. At the same time, I'm going to make Tangning wash your feet. This day has finally arrived. Mo Yuro exclaimed. She had been overshadowed by Tangning for so long. From this point on, she vowed to only keep climbing higher and higher. She was going to step all over Tangning, take Han Yufan from her and become the First Lady of Chani. From now on, things will only get better for you. Plus, the annual Top 10 Model Awards are about to make their selection. I'm sure you will be selected. At that time, you will be one step closer to becoming a top model. Mo Yuro slowly exposed traces of a smile. This was better than anything she had ever dreamed of. With everything going her way, her arrogance began to grow. The hospital gave off its usual unpleasant smell. Tangning entered the hospital, escorted by Han Yufan's assistant. She was all alone without a single assistant of her own to support her. After finding Mo Yuro's room, Tangning could see Mo Yuro's assistant guarding the door. This was the man that claimed she made all the decisions on her own on the day of the show. He had thrown all the blame on her. "You're here," he said as he looked her up and down snobbishly. He was deliberately trying to make things difficult for Tangning. "Just wait here, Yuro is still resting." Tangning lifted up her handbag with her two hands and looked Mo Yuro's assistant straight in the eyes. With a slow and gentle voice, she asked, "Do you know my surname?" "Nonsense. Who doesn't know your surname is Tang?" "Since you know my surname is Tang, then you should be aware of my family background. How dare a little assistant like you act arrogantly in front of me?" Is that Tangning? Please come in." Mo Yuro heard Tangning's voice outside and felt disappointed at her assistant's stupidity. If he wanted to go against Tangning, this was not the right way. After all, she still had the Tang family behind her, even though they no longer paid as much attention to her as they once did when she was still famous. Tangning held her head high and walked into the room, ignoring the angry assistant. Seeing Mo Yuro sitting on the bed acting pitiful with one injured leg, she smiled. "Yuro, are you okay?" Tangning knew Mo Yuro had intentionally hurt her own leg in order to prevent Han Yufan from getting married. This woman is so ruthless. "I heard from President Han that we are to film a 3-minute live broadcast. Is that right? Tangning, we are like sisters. I'm more than willing to help you with this favor so you can redeem yourself in front of the public." Tangning hesitated for a moment. She couldn't believe how shameless Mo Yuro was. She was almost on the same level as Han Yufan. The truth behind the substitution incident was known between the three of them. Yet Mo Yuro acted like nothing had happened. Tangning looked a little upset as she said in an angry tone, "I only came to visit you. You really don't need to be polite." "That's right. We've already prepared a scene for you. In a moment, the doctor will come in to change Yuro's bandages. At that time, in order to highlight your sincerity, we have arranged for you to wash Yuro's feet. That way the public will see how sorry you are." "That's enough." Tangning angrily interrupted the two. "Mo Yuro, the substitution incident, both you and I know the truth. Don't you think it's time you should stop?" "Tangning, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Must you really flip what's right and wrong around?" Tangning's voice held a sense of being wronged. "If it was not for Yufan, I would not tolerate you so many times. Have I not helped you enough? Tangning, it's enough that you won't apologize. Must you also badmouth other people? You've already admitted to creating everything for hype." Mo Yuro was a master of acting. She didn't slip on her words and maintained her innocence. "I definitely won't apologize to you," Tangning unexpectedly said in a serious tone. At this time, Mo Yuro's assistant recorded her words and immediately posted the video online, with the headline, "Attention-seeking green tea BXXXX being insincere, secretly declares, I definitely won't apologize to you." In an instant, 1,000 waves were once again stirred up, ready to crash down onto Tangning. That's how the war between the two began. Two models that didn't know how to control themselves in front of the public, put on a tearful drama drawing the attention of passers-by to stop and crowd around. Chani quickly responded by releasing a statement, apologizing to the public and stating their intention to seriously deal with Tangning, giving off the idea that they were going to dismiss her. At the same time, Tang Ning's "I definitely won't apologize to you" became a viral phrase online. Just as everyone was insulting Tang Ning, a famous online personality released an album of photos. The album was titled, "It's not that Tang Ning won't apologize, it's that she shouldn't apologize." The album was filled with photos of Mo Yuro and Han Yufan embracing each other. In the photos, Mo Yuro and Han Yufan were both in the hospital. Han Yufan was on top of Mo Yuro while she was still wearing her hospital gown. All the netizens' eyes lit up in shock as a famous website also responded by demanding in a post, "Reveal the truth behind the Tang Ning substitution incident." The post included all the fine details of the incident, using the fact that Mo Yuro and Han Yufan were cheating to set the tone. It provided a clear analysis of how Tang Ning was forced to compromise, then led to being suppressed and finally pushed into reacting angrily. For the sake of love, she was forced to take all the blame. At the same time, her fiancé's mistress was making advances and humiliating her. Like this, the scandal was uncovered. Han Yufan and Mo Yuro's intimate photos spread everywhere and the netizens finally discovered, apart from the substitute incident, there wasn't a single piece of bad news about Tang Ning floating around. Even searching as far back as 3 years, all they could find were pictures of her modeling on stage, as beautiful as ever. This woman, who gave up her career for love, never tried to explain herself even once. Even after the recent incident, she immediately stood out and took on full responsibility. Dear God, everyone has misunderstood Tang Ning. Mo Yuro really knows how to act. Who would have thought Channy would suppress such a poor woman? The tables had once again turned. Countless people online started to feel guilty for having previously judged Tang Ning. Their feelings for her quickly turned from dark to light. While all this was happening, Mo Yuro was in the middle of an interview. I no longer know how to evaluate her shamelessness. What is this? Mo Yuro's face turned pale. These are intimate photos of you and the CEO of Channy, Han Yufan. Do you want me to go into more detail about what you are doing in the photos exactly? Mo Yuro froze. Just a moment ago she was still crying in front of the camera, acting all pitiful. Now, she had suddenly turned into a mistress that had seduced someone else's boyfriend. In their eyes, she was no different from the new models that were selling themselves to move up in the industry. Most importantly, she couldn't find any words to stick up for herself. No. The photos are obvious. Don't tell me you still want to deny it. No, it's all fake. This is all part of Tang Ning's plans. Mo Yuro suddenly became helpless in front of the camera. Don't film anymore. Get out. I don't want to be interviewed anymore. Go. Yufan, have you seen the photos? What should we do? It's just photos. What are you panicking about? The company is currently working on a solution.
Han Yufan responded calmly.
However, inside, he wasn't as calm as he appeared. By exposing everything, not only would it affect Mo Yuro's future as well as Channy's, but it could also cause him to lose Tang Ning forever. After all, he had suppressed her and cheated on her. Tang Ning must be behind all this. If you didn't pick on her, do you think all this would happen? After he spoke, Han Yufan hung up the phone angrily. Then, after finding Tang Ning's phone number, he gave her a call. It's obviously ringing. Tang Ning picked up the phone. In reality, Tang Ning was holding her phone in her hand. She was imagining how anxious Han Yufan must be feeling right now, so she decided not to pick up. After running out of Mo Yuro's room, Tang Ning found a place to hide quietly, while she waited for Mo Ting to send someone to pick her up. To her surprise, Mo Ting had decided to come in person. Tang Ning, get in. After hearing his deep voice, all the uneasiness in her heart cleared. The phone continued to ring, but she threw it into the backseat of Mo Ting's car. You're not picking up? Mo Ting asked, revealing one side of his handsome face. You already know the answer, Tang Ning smirked. Her aim was to make Han Yufan look for her all night and experience how it felt to suffer. Mo Ting stopped talking and focused his gaze in front of him. Meanwhile, Tang Ning's gaze was focused on the black mole on Mo Ting's earlobe. It was like he was born with an earring, giving him a slightly evil and dangerous aura. The way you're looking at me. Are you inviting me to kiss you? Hug you? Or? Tang-ning held in her nervousness. She reached out her hand and grabbed onto Mo Ting's arm, trying to avoid his passionate gaze. Before we go to our new home, could you accompany me somewhere first? After we go, can we finish off what we didn't finish last night? Huh? Mo Ting was questioning her casually, but Tang-ning couldn't hide her nervousness because deep down she knew she may not be able to gather the same amount of courage she had the previous night. Mo Ting did not pressure her, nor did he continue to speak. He just allowed her to continue holding onto his arm as he let out a sneaky smile. The two of them didn't end up heading straight home as per Tang-ning's request. Instead, they ended up at a famous cherry blossom forest. This was a place Tang-ning had frequently met Han Yufan for their dates. However, today, she was going to remove him completely from her heart. So, in the end, she finally picked up her phone. I am at the cherry blossom forest, where we always met on our dates. If you still want to see me, then meet me there. See you there. Okay, I will come right away. Han Yufan agreed immediately. Even though he was having an affair with Mo Yuro, he never intended on giving up on Tang-ning. Where was he going to find another woman that was so easy to trick? Plus, all along she had been loyal to him. She had a good family background and she had a good temper. Tang-ning hung up and looked over at Mo Ting, who was sitting opposite her. With an honest but choked up voice, she promised, "This is the last time I will speak to him on the phone regarding our personal feelings. From now on, never again." Mo Ting lifted his eyebrows. Without a word, he patted the seat beside him, gesturing for Tang-ning to sit beside him, giving off a sense of possession. Tang-ning obediently sat beside him. The two of them looked out the window of the restaurant at the scene below. Not long after, an anxious figure appeared beneath the cherry blossom tree. Han Yufan had arrived. So many times in the past had she stood in the same spot Han Yufan was currently standing in, naively waiting all day. 5 out of 10 times she would be stood up. Thinking about it now, the sincerity she had shown was so easily stepped all over. So, being stood up, being played around with, being betrayed. She wanted Han Yufan to experience it all. Will this really relieve your hatred? Mo Ting asked with one arm over Tang-ning's shoulder as he looked at the figure below them. Of course not, but I want him to experience everything I went through, no matter big or small. Mo Ting reached out his long fingers and grabbed hold of Tang-ning's chin. Looking into her eyes, he saw a delicate woman, yet, when she was faced with emotional pain, she could deal with things so cleanly. She ended things quickly like she said she would without an ounce of pretense. When ordering, I ordered some foie gras. The waiter said it had come directly from France. I thought it would be quite good. Mo Ting released her from his grasp and let out a surprised smile. How did you know I like it? It's not hard to find out my husband's preferences. Tang-ning gestured for the waiter to start serving their dishes. Let's eat while we chat. Mo Ting looked at her pink and soft, rose-like thin lips. His gaze revealed a trace of danger. But, I don't want to chat, I just want to kiss you. Who said he was the entertainment industry's poison? Obviously, the woman in front of him also carried traces of poison that was unknowingly addictive. Downstairs, Han Yufan was still standing in the same spot, while, upstairs in the restaurant, Tang-ning and Mo Ting were enjoying their meal. Tang-ning didn't like speaking to Mo Ting about her work, and he understood. After helping Tang-ning twice, he saw her handle things smoothly, this time on her own. This little woman sure isn't weak. However, even though she wasn't weak, she was still Mo Ting's wife. As long as she was his wife, he would make sure she would be doing the bullying and not the other way around. In a flash, 1 hour had passed. Downstairs, Han Yufan continued to wait even though he was getting impatient. During this time, he continuously tried to call Tang-ning, but Tang-ning had already turned off all notifications. Unknown to him, at this moment, in the eyes of Tang-ning and Mo Ting, he was like a gatekeeper standing guard under the tree. Finally, the two finished their meal. Mo Ting took a glimpse downstairs and asked, Do you want to continue watching? No, I want you to help me move houses. Mo Ting nodded and quickly paid the bill, then escorted Tang Ning out through the side door. Not long after, the couple arrived at Tang Ning's home. However, as Mo Ting was about to enter, Tang Ning requested for him to wait outside for 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, as he entered the house, all traces of Tang Ning and Han Yufan's relationship were gone. Tang Ning didn't have to remove much, as Han Yufan never stayed over anyway. Mo Ting, wait a moment, I am going to pack a few things. Mo Ting examined Tang Ning's house. He found a huge photo in the living room. It was a photo of Tang Ning receiving her trophy for the #1 model. If she had never retreated from the industry, she would have already gone international. 5 minutes later, Tang Ning reappeared from her bedroom holding a teddy bear in her arms. This is all of my possessions. You don't want anything else? No, let's leave the memories behind. Tang Ning shook her head in certainty. Suddenly, Mo Ting pulled her over to him and pressed down onto her with his cold lips. At first, Tang Ning was surprised, but not long after, she closed her eyes and returned his kiss. It was not until Mo Ting's hands uncontrollably reached under her skirt did the two suddenly stop. Let's leave the rest for when we get home. But for now, has my kiss made your memories better? Tang Ning wrapped her arms around Mo Ting. She could feel his calm breaths. From now on, she wasn't going to let anyone hurt her again. She was going to keep what belonged to her tightly in the palm of her hands. Back at the cherry blossom tree, Han Yufan had been waiting for 4 hours. He originally intended to keep waiting, but then, he received a phone call from Mo Yuro. Yufan, where are you? I am at your home, I can't find you, my stomach is in pain. Yufan, why haven't the photos been removed yet? I'm afraid I will be destroyed like this. Han Yufan woke up in an instant and quickly rushed home. Seeing Mo Yuro standing pitifully on 1 foot outside his door, he couldn't help but run up to her. I won't let you be destroyed, and I won't let Tianyi be destroyed. Yufan, I only have you. Don't leave me and the baby. Han Yufan comforted Mo Yuro, patting her gently on her back. That night he forced his staff to release a statement that there were others there at the time. The truth was that Mo Yuro lost her footing because of her injured right leg and accidentally fell into the arms of Han Yufan, with both of them landing on the bed. It's not like how it appeared in the photos. They weren't kissing on the bed. Most importantly, at a time like this, Han Yufan still wanted to sacrifice Tang Ning by hinting someone was behind all of this and telling the public not to be fooled. After Han Yufan's PR news was posted up, he paid out a few influential social accounts to help them clean their reputation. In the next 3 days he used every method he could to clean up Mo Yuro's professionalism and image. Again, his intention was to continue throwing the blame on Tang Ning. After all, gossip like this usually only lasted a few days before the public became bored. Once new news gets released, this little scandal would just disappear into the depths of everyone's memories. It wouldn't be long before Mo Yuro would be able to return to work. Their plan was to help Mo Yuro win the top 10 model awards, and then announce she would be going overseas to study. At that time, she could sneakily give birth to their child. The only reason Han Yufan was willing to accept the child was because Mo Yuro was his first love and she had stayed by his side patiently for many years. On top of everything, Mo Yuro currently had a promising future, so he wasn't going to give up on this money tree. Tang Ning's manager had an expression of irony as she looked at the PR news Han Yufan had released. She sneaked over to Tang Ning's home and let herself in since she had the keys, but to her surprise, Tang Ning wasn't home. So, out of uncertainty, she decided to give Tang Ning a call. Tang Ning, why aren't you home? Tang Ning was in the middle of filling up a bathtub for Mo Ting. She let out a chuckle. I haven't had the chance to tell you. I moved houses. Where did you move to? Is it safe? Does Han Yufan know? Tang Ning turned around and looked at Mo Ting, who had just entered the bathroom. Just as she was about to explain, she was interrupted by Mo Ting, who didn't realize she was on the phone. Stuff like this, you should have left it to the maid. On the other side of the line, Long Ji listened attentively. She heard the voice of a man and immediately asked in a high-pitched voice, "Tangning, who are you with? In order to upset Han Yufan, have you used extreme measures?" I knew it. Who would give a helping hand to a retreated model during this time of chaos? You're really frustrating me. Is someone supporting you? Where are you? I'll come get you. You don't need to stoop so low. Where are you? I want to see you right now, or else I'll die. Tangning didn't know what to do. She looked over at Mo Ting as she covered the mouthpiece on her phone and asked for his opinion. My manager seems to have a misunderstanding regarding my moving houses. So, I need to pop out for a little to explain to her. Do you trust her? In actual fact, Mo Ting had already investigated Long Ji in private. She was passionate and professional, even though she was often simple-minded and far from being a top manager, but she was loyal to Tangning and was a helpful person to have around. Aha. Then let me immediately go pick her up. Tangning thought about it carefully. She understood what Mo Ting meant and trusted his judgment. She was no longer the Tangning from the past that would allow others to play games right before her eyes. So, she told Long Ji she would be sending someone over to pick her up from her old house. Long Ji sighed, giving off a sense of disappointment. Tangning smiled as she hung up. She put down the phone and turned to Mo Ting. I've filled the bath. Are you going to bathe yourself now? Mo Ting raised an eyebrow as he rebuttoned his shirt, covering up his attractive collarbone. We have a guest. The man of the house must be present. Most importantly, I want to bathe with you. Tangning blushed, but nodded shyly. Long Ji was extremely frustrated. She felt it wasn't worth it for Tangning to give up so much for Han Yufan. She especially couldn't believe that Tangning had willingly thrown herself at a man when there was obviously no true love in the entertainment industry. Most people in the industry just wanted one night of fun. The next day they would pretend they don't know each other. How can she be so silly to take part in something like this? Long Ji was fuming as she walked back and forth cursing under her breath until Lu Che arrived at the house and saw Long Ji. If you want to see Miss Tang, come with me. Long Ji was familiar with Mo Ting. However, she didn't recognize Lu Che at all. So, she wasn't very friendly towards him. She lifted her leg and gave him a kick. If anything happens to my precious Tangning, I will paralyze both you and your boss. Lu Che held his tidy hairstyle in place. The sudden kick made it hard for him to keep his image as his face screwed up in pain. Let's not talk about who's going to paralyze who. Come with me first. Long Ji gave it a mph, raised her head and glared at Lu Che as she boarded the car with him. Throughout the entire journey, Long Ji tried to test Lu Che by threatening him with all different methods, even mentioning Tangning's family background. All that was missing was a knife to his neck. Finally, as the car pulled up into the estate, Long Ji finally grew silent in shock. Hyatt Regency. This was one of the landmarks of the city of Beijing. This estate only housed 30 households. Each household was rich and powerful. Just simply searching up the background of any random house in this area would make the average person speechless. Who the hell is your boss? Long Ji felt weak at her knees. You will find out once you go inside, Lu Che replied in an annoyed tone. He too had a bit of a temper. Long Ji's heart nearly jumped out of her chest in fear as the fire inside her subsided. Whoever was inside was definitely not someone she would dare mess with. Not long after, the car swerved in through a metal gate that surrounded a beautiful villa with a fountain out front. Long Ji was escorted out of the car and into a Spanish palace-style living room. Tangning was sitting on the sofa wearing comfortable white home clothes. She didn't have any makeup on, but she was just as beautiful as ever. Tangning, what is all this? Did you find yourself a rich old man? Long Ji asked in a hushed whisper as she approached Tangning. Did you sacrifice yourself for the sake of Han Yufan? Long Ji, there's something I need to tell you. But, you can't be upset. Tangning pulled Long Ji onto the sofa next to her. Speak. Did you find a new boyfriend? No. Tangning shook her head, holding back a smile. That's good. I'm married. Long Ji. After a couple of minutes, she suddenly burst out. What did you say? You're married. Who did you marry? Why would you play games with your happiness? While Long Ji was questioning Tang-ning, Mo Ting had just finished dealing with some business issues and appeared out of the study room upstairs. To Long Ji's surprise, he walked over to just behind the sofa, leaned over affectionately and whispered gently into Tang-ning's ear. Tang-ning turned to face Mo Ting and nodded obediently. I know, I won't take longer than half an hour. Mo Ting was pleased with her response. He observed Long Ji for a moment and headed back upstairs. Everything that happened in this short moment was enough to make Long Ji freeze in disbelief. Tang-ning, quick, pinch me. I want to know if I'm dreaming. Why? Tang-ning tugged at her to bring her back to her senses. So, the person you married is the CEO of Hairui Entertainment, Mo Ting. Aha. For real? Long Ji asked again to confirm. You're not seeing things, it's him, my new husband, Tang-ning nodded seriously. After hearing her answer, Long Ji went from extreme sadness to extreme happiness. No wonder your article stayed at the top of search rankings, and Han Yufan had no way of removing it no matter how much money he spent. Tang-ning, this is such a great surprise. But, I do not have plans to announce my relationship with Mo Ting as of yet, Tang-ning explained calmly. She gave off a confident and dazzling aura. With the help of Mo Ting, I know my career would advance in leaps and bounds, but other people would only acknowledge me as Mo Ting's wife and not Tang-ning the model. 3 years ago, I managed to become the top model in Beijing. Now, 3 years later, I am confident I can do it again with my own ability. I will retrieve what originally belongs to me. Long Ji, if you are still willing to help me, then we are going into this together. If you don't want to, I won't pressure you. I will help you cancel your contract with Channy and help you find a job at a better company. What nonsense are you speaking? Of course I want to stay by your side. I want to become the top manager of an international supermodel, Long Ji replied confidently. But, are you planning to stay at Channy Entertainment? What do you think? Tang-ning gave Long Ji a look, letting her figure the answer herself. Han Yufan has used me so many times. No matter what, I will pay him back for it. After hearing what Tang-ning had to say, Long Ji burst out laughing as she leaned on Tang-ning, her shoulders shaking from laughter. Tang-ning, I realized all these years I have known you has been a waste. I never knew you could be so sneaky. So what's the next move? What should we do? Release the video? No. Let's secure a spokesperson deal. To be precise, let's take what originally belonged to me right out of Mo Euro's hands. Afterwards, Mo Euro's fans will definitely complain. The video should be released at that time. Long Ji, you will need to work hard for a little longer. Help me edit the clips from the Crown Star show and post it online. Okay, no worries. Leave it with me. After hearing the plan, Long Ji's eyes lit up as she nodded her head. Most importantly, she had discovered Tang-ning was different. She used to be weak and fragile, but who would have thought, when triggered, she would be this powerful? After their conversation, Tang-ning asked Lu Che to escort Long Ji home, before she got up from the sofa and headed back into the beautifully scented bedroom. Mo Ting had just changed into a robe and was sitting on the sofa enjoying a glass of red wine. His chin tilted up, giving him a more defined jawline like a perfectly carved sculpture, making one's heart flutter. Tang-ning was caught off guard as her face flushed red. Mo Ting laughed gently as he kissed her on the tip of her nose. If you can't drink, you will be at a disadvantage when invited to events. You need to train. Tang-ning pushed her body against Mo Ting's smooth chest. In that case, President Mo, what do you propose? Drink a small glass every day. What do you say? Using the same method as just then. Tang-ning raised her eyebrows with a slightly provocative look. Mo Ting couldn't help but let out a gentle laugh as he nodded. Did you like it? Aha, Tang-ning nodded. Let's do that then. After he spoke, Mo Ting once again raised the glass to his lips. Using the same method, he once again leaned over, but this time, after they had finished drinking the wine, they did not separate. They continued to kiss passionately as they treated the sofa beneath them like a bed. As Mo Ting's intermittent kisses slowly made its way to other parts of her body, Tang Ning could feel her body shaking. She could no longer think straight. Never had she experienced such an electrifying feeling, making her whole body weak like sand. In the heat of the moment, all she could see was Mo Ting's handsome nose bridge and his soft lips, but she could feel his strong arms, and
Montag.
Ting, let's go to the bed. I don't want to do it on the sofa. Hearing her plea, Mo Ting suddenly stopped. Looking down at her long slender legs, so beautiful like the tail of a mermaid, he held in his desires as he wrapped Tang Ning in a bathrobe. He lifted her up and took her into the bathroom, placing her gently into the bathtub. What is it? Mo Ting wrapped a towel around his body and kneeled before Tang Ning. He lifted her chin and spoke, I want your heart first. When I am the only person in your heart, I will make you completely mine. After he finished speaking, Mo Ting stood up, but Tang Ning reached out her hand to grab hold of his towel. I do not dislike us doing this. Do you still not trust me? Mo Ting patted Tang Ning gently on the head, calming himself down at the same time. I really want you. You don't know how attractive you are, but I want all of you, body and heart. I want to wait for you to be certain. Tang Ning nodded, holding onto Mo Ting's left hand. It's been a long time since someone has treated me with respect. Mo Ting understood what she meant. Even though he wanted to crush Han Yufan into pieces, Mo Ting had faith Tang Ning would be able to depend on her own abilities to get what she wants. The next morning, the scandal between Channy's two models had already been replaced by the new headlines of the day. While at the same time, Han Yufan and Mo Yuro's rumors had been covered up by Channy's PR, the hype of entertainment news had always dissipated as quickly as it appeared. However, due to Tang Ning's responsible attitude of standing out and taking on all blame, she had gained herself a huge number of new fans. These fans were now searching online for Tang Ning's old appearances and photos. No one noticed Tang Ning at this moment was slowly making a comeback. Especially during the Crown Star Show, Tang Ning's performance had definitely surpassed all the current hottest models. Her new fans felt it was unfair for Tang Ning to go to waste, so they all started sharing her videos online, while contacting HF. After seeing the videos of Tang Ning, HF was amazed by Tang Ning's beauty. In particular, after seeing Tang Ning's multitude of photos and poses, the designer that had got angry at Tang Ning on the day of the show suddenly realized how well Tang Ning matched his jewelry. It was like they were made for each other. HF's designer pondered for a little bit. His judgment was previously affected by Channy's lies, but now that he had time to calm down and think about it, Tang Ning's elegance and professionalism was definitely better suited to the theme of the Crown Star. Also, because of Tang Ning's attitude towards admitting wrong, HF had developed a sense of trust towards her. So, the higher-ups of HF quickly gathered together for a meeting to discuss swapping the spokesperson. In the end, they came to a consensus. A phone call was made to the office of the president of Channy Entertainment. Mr. Eugene, Euro is almost recovered from her injuries. The release of your new product definitely won't be delayed. No, I'm not calling about that. Mr. Han Yufan, we would like to swap spokesperson. We would like to swap Mo Euro for Tang Ning, he said in perfect English. After hearing the request, Han Yufan didn't know how to react. No, Mr. Eugene, I don't think that's right. We haven't officially signed the contract yet. If you are not willing to swap for Tang Ning, we'd rather cancel this collaboration and look for another company to work with. We have other models, ones that are more famous than Mo Euro. We only want Tang Ning. Mr. Eugene was set on his decision, leaving Han Yufan with no choice but to agree. However, this deal was originally Mo Euro's means of securing the top 10 model awards, who would have thought Tang Ning would end up benefiting instead. With this change, Mo Euro was definitely going to throw a tantrum. The news quickly spread to Long Ji. HF had made a call to Han Yufan's office requesting to swap spokesperson. So, when she spoke to Tang Ning on the phone, she was exceptionally excited. Tang Ning, you got the deal. Don't get ahead of yourself. Mo Euro isn't going to let this happen so easily. Tang Ning didn't let her guard down, even though she had the situation in the palm of her hands. News of HF's request to swap spokesperson quickly spread throughout the industry. Mo Ting also heard the news during his downtime. To him, if his company received the HF spokesperson deal, even the lowest-ranked model wouldn't bat an eyelid. But, to Tangning, it meant she had successfully retrieved what belonged to her from Mo Euro. So, he immediately made a phone call to Tangning. "You did well." Tangning gave a gentle laugh and then gratefully replied, "To be praised by you makes me happier than anything else. I will wait for you to get back to the #1 spot." This time, Tangning simply responded with 2 words, "I will." It was time to return to Channy to face Mo Euro's ugly attitude. At the time the word was being spread, Mo Euro was still sleeping sweetly in Han Yufan's home. Last night, she had run directly from the hospital to Han Yufan's home and used guilt to hold on to him for the entire night, not letting him make any phone calls to Tangning. Anything she had in her grasp, others shouldn't dream of taking, especially Tangning, who always seemed to be against her. Her assistant was impatient and flustered as he reached the house. He opened the news for Mo Euro to see, and her first reaction was one of disbelief. HF spokesperson was already set, there's no way they could change it. "Euro, this is real. President Han received a phone call from HF this afternoon. They personally told him they wanted to swap the spokesperson to Tangning, or else they would rather work with another company." Her assistant pointed to the news in front of them with an urgent and angry expression. What exactly did Tangning do? If she wanted to secure a deal, why did it have to be your deal? Let's go back to the office. This incident, I want Yufan to give me an explanation in person. Mo Euro knew that if she was to discuss the matter with Han Yufan over the phone or at home, he would somehow sweet-talk his way out of it. So, she decided to return to the office and face the issue head-on. This way he would be forced to deal with it professionally. Meanwhile, Han Yufan was already bruised and battered. HF was so determined to directly swap Mo Euro for Tangning, but he knew this was going to hurt Mo Euro greatly. However, did he have the right to say no? In the end, he wasn't going to go against money. Just as Han Yufan was thinking of a way to comfort Mo Euro, with the aid of her assistant, entered the room in a wheelchair. She arrived just before Tangning with a difference of a few hundred meters. "Yufan, what is all this? How could the spokesperson deal, that belonged to me, get taken by Tangning?" Han Yufan gestured for his assistant to leave the room. As soon as the room was left with just the 2 of them, Han Yufan approached Mo Euro and embraced her in a hug. "Euro, this was beyond my control. I'll help you secure an even better deal. You know as well as I do that Mr. Eugene from HF is the brother of Miss Erin, who is one of the judges at the Top 10 Model Awards. This deal was really important to me, and most importantly, how could you hand it over to Tangning?" Mo Euro angrily pushed Han Yufan away. Her voice was shaky. "She already stole you from me. Wasn't that enough? Why does she have to fight over everything with me? I don't care. If I lose this deal, then I don't want this child. I won't stay at Channy either." "Don't speak out of anger." Han Yufan tried to control her temper. "How could you give up on our child so easily? You know that I'm on your side." However, this time, HF was determined. "Tangning's already given up so many times in the past. What's another time? She's about to get married to you. Why does she need the deal anyway?" After hearing Mo Euro's reasoning, Han Yufan felt it made sense. According to Tangning's personality, she has given up her chance at a lot of things in the past. One more time isn't going to matter to her. He was certain she would agree, so he comforted Mo Euro. "I will speak to her about it. Don't be angry, okay?" Mo Euro bawled her eyes out as she fell into Han Yufan's arms. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Tangning and Long Ji had returned to the office. Mo Euro immediately held back her tears and distanced herself from Han Yufan, looking at him like she was being treated unfairly, until Tangning pushed open the door and entered the room. "Tangning, where did you go last night? Did you know I looked for you all night?" Han Yufan asked one question after another. Tangning glanced at him and then at Mo Euro. "It's all a misunderstanding between Euro and I. I've already released a statement to clear it all up. Don't make a fuss over it, will you? Tang Ning looked away without a word. She knew very well what Han Yufan meant by looking for her all night. He had obviously been searching so hard he ended up searching in bed with Mo Yuro. Otherwise, there was no way he wouldn't have noticed she no longer lived in her original home. Too bad, the issue with Miss Mo and I isn't a misunderstanding. Tang Ning spoke calmly. I help her so many times, yet she turned around and bit me. In both your eyes, am I that easy to bully? Really? Tang Ning questioned suspiciously. Regardless, this incident is over. Let's not dwell on it. As for the HF spokesperson deal, how about you return it to Euro? This deal is very important to her. You've already retreated and won't be doing any shows, so you have no use being spokesperson, Han Yufan said straightforwardly with the tone of a superior, forcing Tang Ning to hand over the deal back to Mo Yuro. Exactly, Tang Ning, you haven't done a show for so many years, you're not even familiar with the stage anymore. Mo Yuro added, on top of everything, the deal was originally mine anyway. HF must have thought, since I was injured I wouldn't be able to recover in time, that's why they chose you. You don't want to be a substitute, do you? These words, coming from Miss Mo, sound a bit ironic. Tang Ning responded coldly, forcing Han Yufan to snap back. Tang Ning, you weren't like this before. If you still love me, you wouldn't take on this deal. For the sake of the company's future, we need Euro to win the award so we can elevate our company's standing in the industry. Han Yufan's words obviously carried a threatening tone. He had gone so far as to use love as a reason. Listening up to this point, Mo Yuro was laughing on the inside. She knew Tang Ning would do anything for Han Yufan, let alone give up a deal. Yufan, quick, give HF a call. Let them know Tang Ning is too busy planning her wedding and can't take on any new jobs. Han Yufan nodded, reaching for the phone. But, just as he grabbed hold of it, Tang Ning stopped him. The deal? I have already accepted it. Tang Ning. Han Yufan exclaimed in shock. Tang Ning had never gone against any of his decisions before. Don't forget, I am also a model of Qiani Entertainment. Actually, I've already spoken to HF's founder, Mr. Eugene, and he is looking forward to working together. Tang Ning, I am the president of Qiani Entertainment. The power of decision-making stands with me, not you. Han Yufan was filled with anger as he looked at Tang Ning. Why must you take Euro's deal? You think I took the deal just because I wanted to? HF requested for the swap. I was just worried in the end, we would be left with nothing, so I tried to hold on to the contract for you. Originally, I didn't believe any of the rumors regarding you and Mo Yuro, but the fact that you'd rather make a loss than have her lose a spokesperson deal makes me wonder if the two of you. Of course not. What are you thinking? Han Yufan immediately denied any relations. I just felt that since we are about to get married, why can't you just stay at home and look after our family? Then, will you go explain to Mr. Eugene? Tang Ning loosened her grip on the phone. She had a look of disappointment. Also, what do you mean by I took the deal from Mo Yuro? Haven't I allowed her to take enough from me? For the sake of helping her, I've already offended everyone. Who would have thought, in the end, she wouldn't even acknowledge my kindness? Tang Ning, at that time, you were the one that suddenly announced you were retreating from the limelight, hence your jobs were given to me. What do you mean by you allowed me? Mo Yuro was not backing down as she started an argument with Tang Ning. The thing she hated the most was people saying she cleaned up after Tang Ning. Also, with your ability and popularity right now, if you were to say you allowed me to take anything from you, no one would believe it. Han Yufan was stuck in a difficult position between the two women. Most importantly, Tang Ning was still angry, or else she wouldn't have disobeyed his orders, something she had never done before. HF had indeed requested for the spokesperson to be swapped to Tang Ning, so, in the end, Han Yufan stepped in and split the two apart. Stop arguing, since it was HF's request, then we will just go with what's been decided. The spokesperson will be swapped to Tang Ning.
President Han. Montag Juro weint.
It's decided. The two of you can leave first. Tangning, ask Long Ji to come in, Han Yufan ordered coldly. It was obvious that, although he had no choice but to swap to Tangning, he hated the feeling of being stepped all over by her. Tangning was clever and knew exactly what Han Yufan was thinking, but if he was expecting her to carefully consider his feelings, he was dreaming. Don't worry, I know what to do, her assistant nodded knowingly. After returning to her room, Tangning looked at Long Ji and winked. Don't be nervous. Nervous? Are you kidding me? Who do you think I am? Long Ji rolled her eyes. It's not my first day on the job. If Han Yufan wants to tear me down, it's not that easy. Let's wait and see. As she spoke, Long Ji walked out with a fierce expression. Previously, Tangning had not pushed to advance, but now, the situation had changed. Long Ji no longer had to hold back. Not long after, Long Ji made her way into Han Yufan's office and Han Yufan threw a contract in front of her without hesitation. Prepare to compensate us for breaching your contract and leave. Leave? Long Ji laughed. President Han, you must have a bad memory. When I first signed my contract with Channy, my salary and Tangning's appearance fee was clearly stated. However, all these years, Tangning's appearances had been overtaken by Mo Euro and my salary was nowhere near what was promised. So who breached the contract first? Plus, the article I released was all for the sake of Tangning. So which part of the contract did I breach? You. Han Yufan couldn't believe he was being told off by a manager. His pride was hurt. If you aren't afraid of making things worse, we can always take things to court. It doesn't matter to me. But, how many people in the industry will lose trust in Channy Entertainment? Long Ji asked in a provoking manner. What do you want then? I want us to end on a good note. I will sign the papers and leave, whereas you will not continue asking for any compensation. From this moment on, we don't owe each other anything. Han Yufan glared at Long Ji angrily, but, because Mo Euro was involved, he couldn't argue back. Earlier on, when Long Ji and Tangning had met, they had already predicted this would happen. So, in the end, Han Yufan had no choice but to sign the papers. Leave, I don't want to see you again. Han Yufan, let me give you a warning. There is no wall thick enough to block out everything. The way you have treated Tangning, you will soon have to pay it back 1,000 times. After speaking, Long Ji left the office with the cancelled contract in her hands. Han Yufan, who was left standing in the room, thought about the words Long Ji had said. In anger, he grabbed the table in front of him and flipped it. Tangning wasn't worried about Long Ji at all. After all, it was so easy to find flaws in the contract. Most importantly, Han Yufan was strewn with guilt. After cancelling the contract, Long Ji didn't leave the building. Instead, she stayed by Tangning's side. When Han Yufan eventually left his room, they ran straight into each other. Why are you still here? Tangning froze for a moment before she replied, I've just hired Long Ji. Tangning, your manager contract is managed by the company. How could you hire a new manager? Tangning was driving Han Yufan crazy. Oh, I didn't hire a manager. I hired her as my assistant. It's my right to hire my own assistant, isn't it? Tangning smiled calmly. After all, Long Ji has taken care of me for so many years, I've gotten used to it. Tangning, what's wrong with you? Why do you keep going against me? Han Yufan pulled Tangning to one side and asked her angrily. Because Long Ji is more thoughtful than you. Everything she does is for my sake. Just because I took on a deal, doesn't mean she would accuse me of stealing from others. After hearing this, Han Yufan went silent, looking at Tangning coldly. Tangning, you've always been supportive of my career. Why are you like this? I've said it before, the incident with the Crown Star would be the last time I take on the blame for both of you. Tangning remained calm, so calm that her eyes were emotionless. If you really want to be this childish, I think our wedding should be called off. Han Yufan used their wedding as a means to threaten Tangning. After all these years, Tang had been the one that stuck by his side, willing to do anything. Quite some time passed. Tang remained silent, like she was contemplating. Han Yufan assumed she had given up and was regretting going against him. But who would have thought this would be Tang's response? "Oh, you don't want to get married? Then we won't do it." Tang smiled. "Let's wait until you are no longer busy. We can talk about it later." Like this, Han Yufan was flustered. He reached out his hand and placed it overbearingly onto Tang's shoulder. With an angry look in his eyes, he asked, "Do you not love me anymore?" "What about you? Do you love me?" Tang carefully slipped out of Han Yufan's grasp. She had promised Mo Ting she wasn't going to have physical contact with another man. Han Yufan was stunned. He opened his mouth, but no words came out, because, towards Tang, he had never had any feelings. He was only using her. He slowly relaxed his hands. "We are already at the stage of getting married. Why would you question our love? You will become my wife soon. Can't you think on my behalf?" It wasn't easy for Euro to be nominated for the top 10 model awards. "Tang, I'm just annoyed that you can't be more understanding." Tang slowly distanced herself from Han Yufan. She remained composed. "Then from now on, you may have to get used to how I am now." After their conversation, Tang left Han Yufan standing there alone as she left the building. Han Yufan was puzzled. He didn't understand why Tang's attitude had changed so much. But, after careful thought, he assumed she was still jealous of him and Mo Euro. However, he didn't have the energy to go coax her. After all, Mo Euro was still in need of comforting, and Tang had never been one to make others worry. After her anger subsides, things will most likely go back to normal. She's always been so useless, without any temper to even stick up for herself. Tang knew Han Yufan wasn't going to chase after her. Her heart had already given up on him. Instead, she was quickly hurrying home to see Mo Ting. At the thought of Mo Ting, Tang's heart felt like it was suddenly lit up by a bright light. "Tang, I'll take you home first so you can recharge your batteries. Tomorrow, we will be signing a contract for you to shoot on location," Long Ji said happily to Tang. "Long Ji, cancel the lease on your home and move over to my old home. Give my home a bit of life. You can change the locks as well. If Han Yufan asks, just say you have moved over to take care of me and it is no longer convenient for him to have the keys," Tang suggested. "Tomorrow, I will sign a new contract with you." "Okay, works for me. This way I can save some money." After their conversation, Long Ji looked at Tang with an ambiguous smile. "The mighty president of Hai Rui Entertainment, how is he in that aspect?" "Don't be so nosy, okay?" Tang replied, staring into Long Ji's eyes. After returning home, Tang had a lot of free time since Mo Ting was still out for the day. She headed for the kitchen and found the servants cooking. Lifting up her sleeves, she offered, "Let me help." "Madam, how could we trouble you?" The chef in charge of the meals was a middle-aged woman over 40. She liked Tang as she gave off a peaceful vibe. "How about this? You rest for the day and allow me to cook for Mo Ting tonight." Tang led the chef out of the kitchen. By the time Mo Ting arrived home, it was already late at night. However, as soon as he entered the house, the first thing he did was look for Tang. Wearing an apron and standing in the kitchen barefooted, Mo Ting found Tang concentrated on cooking. Mo Ting was surprised as he stared at her quietly. He was immediately attracted by her long, slender legs. He walked straight over to her and hugged her from behind as he gently kissed her on the ear. "President Mo, don't muck around, I'm cooking fish." Mo Ting reached over and turned off the stove. Lifting her chin, he went directly for her lips. "But, right now, I just want to eat you up." Tang put down the kitchen utensils in her hands and turned around to hug Mo Ting, clumsily returning his kiss. His soft touch captivated her, and as she noticed the charming mole on his ear, she became completely infatuated. Mo Ting's kisses were intermittent but gentle, inching slowly down her body, eventually returning to her collarbone where he stopped. "Any lower, and I won't be able to control myself." "Fish. I need to finish cooking the fish." Tanging pulled away from Mo Ting's lips, once again lighting up the stove, finishing off what she had started. Mo Ting chuckled and reached his hand out to pat Tang Ning's head as he admired her creation. "Let me help you." "President Mo can cook?" Tang Ning asked, raising her eyebrows. "Today, I'll allow this. But, from now on, no more entering the kitchen. I don't want you to get hurt." Mo Ting was protective of Tang Ning, especially her legs. Inside, he was even considering buying insurance for them. The married couple prepared dinner quietly. It turned out, they were both great chefs. Tang Ning cooked Mo Ting's favorite dish, while Mo Ting cooked Tang Ning's favorite dish. Without difficulty, the dining table was soon filled with a satisfying feast. In perfect sync, the couple looked at the dining table amazed. After all, enjoying life like this couldn't be done by just anyone. "Aren't you signing the contract tomorrow? Will you be leaving straight away in the afternoon?" "Aha, HF's new product launch is urgent," Tang Ning nodded. "Mo Ting, give me a bit more time. I will definitely rise to a position you are proud of." "I've never doubted you." Mo Ting placed some food in Tang Ning's plate. Their eyes met, both looking at each other admiringly. Of course, Mo Ting was most looking forward to seeing Tang Ning slowly advance and how miserable Han Yufan and Mo Yuro would be. After a windy night, it started to shower lightly. Upon returning to Han Yufan's home, Mo Yuro grabbed everything she could and threw it on the ground, breaking them into pieces. Especially when she thought of Tang Ning signing the contract tomorrow, her heart could not accept it. Worst of all, Han Yufan had actually helped Tang Ning. This was the most unbearable thing for her. Han Yufan threw open the door to find a shocking scene in front of him. He spotted Mo Yuro standing with a vase in her hands. Immediately, he ran over and embraced Mo Yuro in a hug. "Don't be so upset, it's not good for the baby." "I'm surprised you know it's bad for the baby, even though you just watched as Tang Ning stole my deal. We still have plenty of chances. I'm already working on securing an even bigger collaboration. Stop paying attention to Tang Ning. Even if she was to become spokesperson, what would come of it?" Han Yufan continuously patted Mo Yuro on the shoulder. "Babe, listen to me, don't hurt yourself. Even if you do this, I'm still not convinced." Mo Yuro raised her head with tears in her eyes. "She's held on to you for so many years, I will definitely not allow her to have what she wants." If she was to lose, she wasn't going to allow Tang Ning to win. Most importantly, she ordered her assistant to post up the details of Tang Ning's schedule tomorrow, giving anti-fans the opportunity to cause trouble to Tang Ning. Does Tang Ning really think it's so easy to be a spokesperson? Tomorrow, she will become the airport's #1 shameful and stupid model. The official contract signing ceremony with HF was to be held at 9 a.m. and would be broadcasted live as well as officially announced to the public. It seemed, regarding the war between Tang Ning and Mo Yuro, HF had chosen Tang Ning's side. 3 years had passed since Tang Ning last attended an event like this. She had almost forgotten how it felt. But, as soon as she put on her creamy white low-back dress and the jewelry that HF had sponsored her, she was once again glowing with confidence. Long Ji left the house nice and early to drive over to Hyatt Regency. As she was Tang Ning's assistant, Mo Ting had given her special permission to enter their villa as she pleased. She had originally prepared a dress for Tang Ning, but when she entered the huge walk-in wardrobe Mo Ting had given to Tang Ning, she couldn't believe her eyes. He is indeed the president of Hai Rui, generous with good taste. Long Ji praised. At that exact time, Mo Ting came out from his own wardrobe. As soon as he saw Tang Ning, he turned to Long Ji. "I have something I need to say to Tang Ning." "Okay, I'll step out for a bit." Long Ji turned around understandingly and closed the door as she left. Tang Ning stood in front of the mirror smiling sweetly at Mo Ting, fresh and elegant like a blooming lily. It was hard for one not to turn all their attention to her. "What do you want to say to me?" Mo Ting didn't say a word. Instead, he took big steps towards Tang Ning and hugged her from behind. He then turned her neck so he could cover her mouth with his. "I want to kiss you and even more, I want to adore you. I'm going to be late." Tangning also didn't want to part with Mo Ting's lips. I will watch the live broadcast. Tangning nodded her head with satisfaction. She hooked her arm onto Mo Ting's as they walked out of the villa together. Truthfully, anyone looking at the couple would believe they were a perfect match. Tangning was like white snow emanating a sense of pureness, whereas Mo Ting was alluring like a dangerous dark night. Long Ji was captivated by the sight of the couple. This is how a married couple should look like. Unlike Han Yufan the jerk, who would not be so pleasing to the eye. A little while later, Tangning boarded the car with Long Ji's assistance. On the way, Long Ji spoke while driving. The contract signing will be at 9 a.m. We should arrive at 8:50 a.m. just right. Your arrangements have always been on point. Tangning looked down and swiped her phone. The plane will be at 3 p.m. and Mo Euro has arranged for anti-fans to stop you at the airport. Among her fans, they have discussed a plan to make you look bad. One of them will find the chance to embarrass you and others will pretend to be passers-by aiming to skew the judgment of onlookers. Long Ji screwed up her nose in disgust. This was something primary school kids did and unfortunately, childish acts like this always seem to hurt others the most. All this information, how did you find out about it? Tangning was quite surprised. Because I have Xiao Hao hiding amongst them. Long Ji hummed proudly. We'll just let these kids be happy for a bit. After the video is released, we'll see whose face gets slapped harder. Tangning laughed as she shook her head. Mo Euro certainly had the ability to gather anti-fans. In comparison, her number of active fans looked pitiful. However, there were still a few that were looking forward to her appearance at the airport. Long Ji had selected to arrive at 8:50 a.m. because any earlier, Tangning would have devalued herself. At the same time, she had to make sure they wouldn't be late, so Long Ji timed everything perfectly. Tangning, after your public apology, you disappeared. When you appeared again, you took Mo Euro's contract. Was this all part of your plan? Mo Euro released photos of her working hard to stand up again this morning. Is she accusing you of stealing her deal? Tangning, are you planning to make a comeback? On the other hand, Han Yufan, who was originally meant to attend the signing, couldn't attend because he was busy, so Tangning was accompanied by her assistant instead. This gave the public the impression that Tangning and Qianni Entertainment were on bad terms. However, Han Yufan was indeed busy being held back by Mo Euro. There was no way she would allow Han Yufan to attend the signing and support Tangning. Hai Rui Entertainment. Mo Ting was sitting in his office watching the live broadcast. On screen, Tangning didn't appear demanding. She was quiet and beautiful but was hard to ignore. As the contract signing reached its end, Mo Ting phoned his assistant through the intercom. This afternoon, send 4 bodyguards to protect Tangning all the way until she boards the plane. Yes, President. Mo Ting knew, regarding the spokesperson deal, on the surface everything seemed to be smooth sailing, but in actual fact, there were rough seas ahead. After the contract signing, Tangning and HF's founder sat down for lunch together. 1 p.m., Tangning left the hotel to head directly for the airport. The closer they got to their destination, the more nervous Long Ji became. Tangning, I will try my best to protect you. You also have to protect yourself. Long Ji, do you think I haven't prepared myself? Tangning smiled as usual. Right now, everything was within their control. What was there to fear? 3 years ago, she already experienced everything. Not long after, Long Ji got out of the car first. After taking the luggage out, she assisted Tangning out as well. At first, no one noticed the two of them. However, as soon as they stepped into the airport, a bunch of fans ran over with flowers to greet them. The flowers were shoved into Tangning's hands, but before she could grab hold of them, the flowers and other gifts fell to the floor. In an instant, everyone was stunned. Wearing sunglasses and face masks, her fans were disappointed upon seeing their gifts being mistreated. Tangning, what is the meaning of this? We gave you flowers because we like you. How could you throw it on the floor? Even famous celebrities wouldn't dare treat their fans like this, let alone someone like you who isn't famous yet. Tangning knew these guys were here to cause trouble, so she immediately apologized. Sorry, I didn't get a grip yet. It wasn't on purpose. As if it wasn't on purpose, it was obvious that was your intention. I saw it too. You threw it away deliberately. The anti-fans were sparking up speculation amongst passers-by as they started to speak up. Just on your personality alone, how can you compare to Euro? Euro always greets her fans with a friendly smile, offering to take photos with them. Did you think, just by signing one contract, you would be able to replace her? More and more people crowded around and the number of curious people increased. In an instant, Tang Ning had roughly over 100 people surrounding her. Because of the increasing number of people, the anti-fans decided to initiate the second step of their plan. Gathering the crowd closer, they started to push and shove Tang Ning around. Why do you think Euro has stayed famous for 3 years while you became old news? I've realized now, it must be because you have a bad personality. Look how nice Euro is in comparison. Give the contract back to Euro. I agree. Originally, I quite liked you, but you actually went ahead and threw the flowers your fans gave you onto the floor. You can't compare to Euro even a tiny bit. You don't deserve to take Euro's contract. What schemes did you use? Tell us. The fans' interrogations got louder and louder as passers-by started to take photos and discuss what was going on. They felt Tang Ning was shameless. To them, Mo Euro's character was much more trustworthy. Tang Ning was completely surrounded, leaving her with no room to escape. So, instead, she calmed herself down and removed her sunglasses, revealing her bare face to the public. If you want me to answer your questions, I can do that, but first, can I ask you a few questions? Go ahead. The anti-fans looked at Tang Ning, wondering what trick she had up her sleeves. You say you are my fans, so can you tell me, what year did I debut? What year did I receive awards and what awards were they? After hearing her questions, the anti-fans looked blankly at each other. How could they know this information about Tang Ning? They despised her. We are new fans. Regardless, you threw our gifts on the floor, so you are in the wrong, one of them responded. Whether or not I threw the flowers on the floor, even if I was to not explain, I'm sure the airport's cameras would have captured everything. But I already apologized immediately after dropping them. I'm sure everyone heard. I've also previously acknowledged, within the industry, there is still much to learn from Euro. So, what else are you not happy with? Tang Ning spoke gently, not forceful at all, but straight to the point. This girl that was causing trouble definitely wasn't her fan. It was obvious she was the fan of Mo Euro, whose name hung to her lips. The fact that Tang Ning had already apologized and responded with a modest attitude, the majority of passers-by were starting to change their minds. They felt that Mo Euro's fans were petty and had gone too far. Fine, it's true. I'm also a fan of Euro's. We just feel you don't deserve to be compared to her. On top of everything, you even stole her contract. You should return it to her. After speaking, the anti-fans started to push Tang Ning. Tang Ning staggered and almost fell. Luckily, the bodyguards Mo Ting sent arrived just in time, squeezing through the crowd to hold on to her. They also started to separate the crowd from Tang Ning. Long Ji couldn't hold in her anger anymore. She stood between the anti-fans and Tang Ning as she turned her head slightly. You go ahead first and wait for me, I'll be right there. Okowo. As usual, Tang Ning didn't argue. She just simply put her sunglasses back on. HMPH. If you don't give us an explanation today and don't return the contract back to Euro, don't even think about boarding the plane. The anti-fans warned as they linked their hands, forming a human barrier. Do you really believe in Mo Euro's character that much? Long Ji asked with a deeper meaning. It's definitely better than that of your cheap models. These words, I've recorded it. Long Ji raised her phone. When the time is right, I'll send you all a huge gift. Long Ji placed the phone to her head and called the police. The police immediately arrived to escort Tang Ning away from the crowd with the help of Mo Ting's bodyguards. Tang Ning quickly disappeared from the view of the public, but before the police left she whispered something to them. Tang Ning, Mo Euro has made the news about you stealing her contract the #1 discussion. Long Ji looked at her phone as she spoke. Then, what are you waiting for? Release the video. Tangning replied while walking. Han Yufan, let's see how many times you can save Mo Euro. Chani Entertainment's Artists Resting Lounge. Mo Euro was celebrating that the discussion she started had hit #1. On top of that, she received photos from her fans of the scene at the airport. Tangning had been pushed to the point where she couldn't even fight back. It completely satisfied her hatred. She wanted Tangning to have a taste of what it's like to steal her contract. This was only one of the consequences. The worst was yet to come. Euro, after this heated incident, I'm sure you will get even better deals than the one offered by HF, her assistant flattered as he massaged her shoulder. Of course. I have to secure a place at the top 10 model awards. Mo Euro smiled confidently. Her confidence was due to the fact that Han Yufan had reassured her earlier on. As promised, Han Yufan appeared at the doorway all of a sudden holding a contract to discuss with her. Quick, my top 10 model, a big advertisement is here. Let's hold a meeting immediately. Mo Euro nodded her head. She was exceptionally pleased as she headed into the meeting room to discuss the details. Although Euro lost the contract with HF, she has managed to secure a deal with an international makeup brand. She is indeed Chani Entertainment's precious gem. Han Yufan showered Mo Euro with praises. As for Tangning, from now on, if anyone asks for her, respond by telling them she is getting married and won't be taking any more jobs. After hearing these words, Mo Euro's smile grew even larger. However, just as the two were conversing with their eyes, Han Yufan suddenly received a phone call. At first, he had a smile plastered across his face, but afterwards, the smile disappeared. Mr. Blair, how could you cancel the contract all of a sudden? The indecent video of you and Mo Euro has already gone viral. I'm extremely ashamed of the two of you. What rubbish! With that, he hung up the phone angrily. What happened? Mo Euro asked. The advertiser has requested for a solution to something. While he was speaking, Han Yufan pulled out his phone. At the top of search rankings was a video of him and Mo Euro in the hospital bed getting intimate. This time it wasn't just a photo, it was a video. It was a video that they couldn't deny. Seeing his reaction, Mo Euro immediately stormed over and grabbed the phone from his hand. Upon seeing the video, she was so stunned, she dropped the phone onto the floor. How could this happen? How? Everyone in the meeting room immediately picked up their phones to see what was going on, while Mo Euro, like being caught on the spot cheating, started yelling at everyone, "Don't look! Don't search! It's over! Everything's over!" Han Yufan angrily plopped down into his chair. Who is it exactly that is trying to go against me? Apart from Chani Entertainment's internal departments, Mo Euro's official page was also in an uproar. It was only today that they put all their trust in Mo Euro and stormed over to insult Tangning, but now they felt like they had been slapped across the face. At this time, Long Ji and Tangning had already boarded their flight. Long Ji was logged into Mo Euro's fan club, watching as the anti-fan self-destructed. I never thought Mo Euro would be so cheap. While we unknowingly idolized her, we must have been blind. From now on, I've lost all respect for her. Me too. Me too. We should take the initiative and prove Tangning's innocence. At the airport, we had deliberately insulted her. She must have known. However, she never tried to get back at us. Instead, while the police were stopping us, she even told them not to hurt us. I heard it all, but I didn't announce it, one of the fans said guiltily. Also, Tangning's schedule was given to us by Mo Euro's assistant. We need to post about this. After seeing the discussions, Long Ji's mouth was curving from ear to ear. So satisfying. That SL*T and Jerk must be running around in a panic right now. Tangning, why are you so smart? I really love you. Long Ji wrapped Tangning in a hug as she planted a kiss on her cheek. But I don't love you. Tangning replied, looking down at Long Ji teasingly. Then who do you love? President Mo. Tangning was indeed thinking of Mo Ting and was especially missing his kisses. Habit definitely was a scary thing, especially poisonous habits. In an instant, Han Yufan and Mo Euro's news became the talk of the town. Their previous efforts with PR had been completely overturned. Since Han Yufan and Tang Ning were an engaged couple, the video revealed Mo Euro was a third party that had stepped in between the two, so she quickly became a hated homewrecker that everyone cursed under their breaths. At this time, a member of the media stepped out to reveal that the Crown Star substitute incident was all Han Yufan and Mo Euro's idea, and Tang Ning was forced to innocently take on all the blame. The netizens were in an uproar. Later that day, even bigger news was released regarding the incident at the airport. Tang Ning was previously criticized for disrespecting her fans, resulting in disgust from passers-by. But, after Mo Euro's indecent video was released, Mo Euro's official fan page posted up a statement clearing the entire incident of Tang Ning's fault. It was revealed that the fans had planned the entire incident beforehand, and they even pointed out it was all because they wanted to stick up for Mo Euro. Luckily, they had now realized the idol they were protecting was not worth it. On top of everything, evidence was posted up of Mo Euro's assistant privately providing details of Tang Ning's schedule to the fan club. Records of the discussions that took place in planning for what happened at the airport was also posted. In the end, a clarification letter on behalf of Tang Ning was released clearly explaining that Tang Ning hadn't thrown the flowers on the floor. They also praised Tang Ning for being polite and sincerely apologizing even though she knew she was being slandered. Most importantly, when she was being protected by the police, she caringly asked the police not to be so rough, in case they hurt someone. This was released by Mo Euro's official fan club, which meant Mo Euro's fan club had now become a defeated army. Even her biggest fans had now turned their back on her. How was anyone to trust Mo Euro ever again? The media continued to be negative. Fans stepped all over her. Even companies that had previously used Mo Euro as a spokesperson immediately took down their ads and sent out letters from the lawyers. Seeing all this, Mo Euro knew. She was over. She was completely over. Euro, you need to remain calm. You still have the child in your stomach. With this child, you don't have to be afraid that President Han won't obediently listen to you. Even if in the end, you can no longer be a famous model, at least, you can still be the wife of Chinese CEO. Mo Euro's assistant tried to calm her down after seeing her throw everything on the floor. Don't damage your body, there's still a long road ahead. Hearing this, Mo Euro agreed with her assistant's reasoning. Even if Tang Ning was to make a comeback, so what? With the child in her stomach, she still had a chance to win. As soon as she stepped off the plane, Tang Ning received a phone call from Mo Ting. Long Ji also immediately searched up the progress of the ongoing battle. Their odds were looking good. It didn't seem like the tramp had any chance of a comeback. Should I congratulate my wife on a victorious battle? Mo Ting was sitting on his office chair as the contours of his face were highlighted by the rays of sunlight coming in through his office window. He looked handsome as usual. Tang Ning laughed gently and responded with a cheeky voice. Must you congratulate me every time I make a move? Can't you tell? I'm just looking for an excuse to give you a call. Tang Ning's heart fluttered. Too bad I can't come home tonight, she responded in a quiet whisper. If you tell me you miss me, there might be a miracle, Mo Ting teased. Do you want to try? Even if there was no miracle, I would still miss you, Tang Ning replied seriously, but because she was embarrassed, she hung up the phone before Mo Ting could give a response. On the other side of the phone, Mo Ting gave a muffled laugh as he immediately called Lu Che on the intercom. Help me organize flights to Liu Sen as soon as possible. While you're at it, pack all the documents I need to sign so I can take them onto the plane with me. Tang Ning had no idea there would be a surprise. After disembarking the plane, she went straight to the location of her shoot. As her contract included print ads, even though it was already night, she still entered the studio. Alongside her, there were a few foreign models that would be in the ad as well. Every one of them were extremely professional. Upon seeing Tang Ning standing around with no expression, the photographer was suddenly worried whether she would be able to meet expectations. The print ad required the model to be snapped in the spur of the moment and had a high degree of difficulty. Within a second, the model had to express emotions that suit the product. This was a real test of a model's acting abilities. Unfortunately, Tang Ning's body was hidden by the long dress she was wearing, so no one could see her positive features. It was not until she changed and stepped out that everyone could finally see her perfectly proportioned body. Everyone in the studio was stunned. Whether it was her height or her measurements, everything met international standards. With her casual black patterned A-line dress, paired with a sleeveless dark denim jacket, she was completely exuding sexiness. But her expression... The photographer was still worried, so immediately walked over to Tang Ning to explain. The photos we are taking today will have a slightly wild style, like a wildcat out for a stroll at night. I understand, Tang Ning nodded calmly. The photographer didn't explain any further. Asian models have always been of this quality. There is no point expecting too much. Come, everyone get in position. Let's start with some solo photos, Jason. The models that were called each walked up to stand in front of the screen. Quickly and professionally, they all completed their shots. Tang Ning was last. Because she was last, she was under extra pressure. After all, in terms of appearance, she couldn't compare to the foreigners. If her acting wasn't up to speed, the whole shoot could easily be foiled. Tang Ning. Upon hearing the photographer's call, Tang Ning walked in front of the screen wearing HF's bracelet from their charming night collection. The photographer continuously explained how she should pose to achieve a wild look, but Tang Ning just smiled as she nodded understandingly. One thing the photographer hated the most was people that pretended they understood when they didn't. So, he spoke a few words before grabbing his camera and taking a few steps back. Let's just try a few test shots to see how it turns out. No, it's okay. Let's just do it, Tang Ning requested. Seeing her confidence, the photographer anticipated seeing a joke. In aggravation, he warned. You asked for it. Once I start, there won't be a second chance. Okay, Tang Ning answered in her usual calmness. The other models all felt Tang Ning was digging her own grave. She was obviously given a chance yet. She didn't want it. What is she thinking? Then, let's get started. The photographer waved as he looked at Tang Ning without much expectation. Tang Ning nodded. Then, while everyone was gathered around waiting to watch her embarrass herself, in a split second she entered into a different state of mind, surprising all onlookers. They watched as she naturally spread her legs apart, wrapped her left hand around her right hand's wrist and gently spread apart her lips. As she bit the middle finger of her left hand, in an instant, everyone was stunned by the look in her eyes. It was so threatening. Compared to the weak persona she had earlier on, it was like she had turned into a completely different person. What impressed everyone the most was the bracelet on her wrist, which appeared to be supplying her with this wild energy. She and the product went perfectly together, like they had completely fused into one. The photographer was speechless. Where did HF find this gem? This level of professionalism is comparable to that of an international supermodel. Above all, how was she so confident to refuse test shots, especially since she has to practically change poses every 3 seconds? No matter if Tang Ning had to act lazy, seductive, threatening, or cute, as long as the photographer asked her to change poses, she immediately suited whatever theme was thrown at her. Her reactions were so quick that everyone watching was amazed. Long Ji was standing to one side. Upon seeing Tang Ning return to the Tang Ning she once knew, she was so emotional she almost cried out loud. Apart from tearing up, she also pulled out her phone to take photos of Tang Ning's various poses. She intended on forwarding them to Mo Ting. Because of Tang Ning's relation to Mo Ting, Long Ji felt extremely fortunate to have someone so mighty in her phone contacts. Of course, at this time, Mo Ting was still on the plane. In the 4-hour photo shoot session, Tang Ning managed to convince the photographer and a few others in the industry with her professionalism. Even Mr. Eugene, who had previously told Tang Ning to leave, couldn't help but give her a thumbs up. He even personally explained to Tang Ning that he couldn't control his emotions last time because he was so angry about being lied to. After removing her makeup, Tang Ning returned to her expressionless self. Meanwhile, everyone was extremely happy with her, making Mr. Eugene's impression of her improve dramatically. Long Ji hurried over to cover Tang Ning with a jacket. At the same time, she handed over the flashing phone in her hand. Han Yufan is calling. Tang Ning's expression didn't change, her gaze just darkened a little, but she still picked up the phone. Hello. Tangning, have you seen or heard any news? Han Yufan asked, treading lightly. Why? Tangning asked, pretending to be calm. What happened? Oh, it's nothing. Han Yufan was sure Tangning hadn't found out yet since she was in Liusen. So, he hatched up a plan. Tangning, how about I fly to Liusen tomorrow? We can register our marriage there. It's perfect. The scenery is beautiful and the atmosphere is lovely. We can even take advantage of this opportunity to have a holiday. It could be our honeymoon. Han Yufan wanted to quickly trap Tangning. Actually, Tangning wasn't born into an ordinary family. She was the daughter of a famous perfume empire, but, because of her relationship with Han Yufan, she had a falling out with her family. They were on such bad terms, they practically cut all ties and refused to see each other again. But, in the end, she was still a Tang. When the Tang elders pass away, she would still have the right to fight for the inheritance. Han Yufan didn't want to let go of Tangning, not only because Tangning was naive and easy to fool, but one of the most important reasons was the inheritance. Since his and Mo Yuro's video had been released, he could only take advantage of the fact that Tangning hadn't realized yet, to quickly force her to marry him. Under the suspicious relationship between you and Mo Yuro, I don't think we should get married yet. Tangning refused straightforwardly. There's really nothing going on between Yuro and I. The photos you saw were all a misunderstanding. If the photos are a misunderstanding, what about the video? Tangning questioned in an extremely calm tone. I'm indeed in Liusen, but Liusen is still in the same country. Did you really think I wouldn't be able to see the news? Or did you think I was really that easy to coax and trick? Tangning, I didn't do it on purpose, trust me. We've been together for so many years. Don't you know what type of person I am? Han Yufan acted innocent, trying to get pity. It was all her one-sided love. The person I love is you. Then, what if I was to say, if she remains in Chani Entertainment then I would leave, or if I was to remain, then she would have to leave? Tangning asked decisively. Tangning, I always thought you were the one that understood me the most. Why must you pressure me like this? Han Yufan was a bit upset because he didn't want to give up on either side. Mo Yuro was his first love and was pregnant with his child, whereas Tangning, being put on the spot, Han Yufan couldn't decide what to do. If you feel like I'm pressuring you, you are free to go look for Mo Yuro. She's very understanding. Must it be like this? In actual fact, Han Yufan had already decided to give up on Mo Yuro. After all, Mo Yuro's family background was quite average. The only reason she had got to where she was today was because he had pushed her to that position. If he was to compare her to Tangning, she at best was just the type to play around with. Give me some time to speak to Yuro. Afterwards we will get married immediately. I'll be waiting. Tangning appeared to respond calmly, but her words contained hidden feelings of contempt. How can someone like Mo Yuro let go of Han Yufan that easily? She even has a child on the way. Long Ji looked at Tangning's scornful look and immediately grabbed the phone out of her hand. From now on, we won't take any of his calls. Saves us from ruining the mood. Let's return to the hotel. I'm tired. Tangning smiled like nothing happened. Long Ji nodded and immediately escorted her back to the hotel. Their rooms were next to each other. Long Ji opened the door for Tangning and comforted her. Have some rest. Don't think too much. You still have an outdoor shoot tomorrow. Aha. Tangning nodded before closing the door. Turning around, she suddenly noticed the sound of water coming from the bathroom. Who's there? She asked cautiously. The person inside seemed to have heard her voice as he reached out and turned off the tap. Tangning was worried she had entered the wrong room, so quickly headed for the door. However, at that moment, a tall figure stepped out of the bathroom, grabbed her by the waist and embraced her in a hug. It's me. Tangning turned around to see Mo Ting. She was surprised for a moment. You? How? Didn't I say? There would be a miracle. Mo Ting loosened his grip before planting a kiss on her lips. Flying during the day is tiring, so I decided to have a shower first to relax. Tungning's mind was in a blur. Never would she have imagined Mo Ting meant what he said. She immediately wrapped her arms around his waist. My dear wife, should I remind you, I'm not wearing anything. After hearing this, Tungning instinctively looked down as her face flushed red. Then you go continue your shower. But I want to go together. With those words, Mo Ting didn't wait for a response. He directly carried Tungning in his arms straight into the bathroom and placed her under the shower. Grabbing her chin, he planted a passionate kiss on her lips. Don't be so rough. I still need to shoot an advertisement tomorrow. Tungning still had a little bit of awareness. Mo Ting smirked before moving downwards. What about here? Separated by a layer of clothing, Tungning trembled and soon lost her senses. Under the shower, the couple continued to kiss passionately and hug. But, as usual, before taking the final step, they were both already satisfied. After showering, one of them peacefully applied skincare, while the other leaned against the bed reviewing some documents. Glancing over at Mo Ting, Tungning's heart hurt a little. You're already here, yet you still have to work. Mo Ting nodded as he closed up the documents and waved at Tungning. When she finally sat down in his arms, he smiled apologetically. It's a habit. Am I not attractive enough? Today, Han Yufan called and said he wanted to marry me. Tungning complained sadly.